Hey, how's it going? I did something nobody asked for again. As we know, in July of last year, Warner Brothers released a live-action Barbie movie. There was a huge amount of actors attached to it, such as Margot Robbie playing Barbie and America's sweetheart, Michael Cera. And I was really excited for this movie, mostly because it was rated PG-13, which meant that Barbie could swear once. Of course, the writer's strike happened last year, and I put this video on the sidelines until I could finish it without crossing a picket line, so I'll just let me from last year take over from here. The release of this movie really lit a fire under my ass, because it made me realize that if I go into that movie theater without a complete and full understanding of Barbie lore, I'm gonna look like an idiot. I'd be laughed out of the theater, and honestly, I'm not looking for trauma. In order to prepare, I am going to watch every Barbie movie ever made. That way, I will walk out of the theater in July being the greatest expert on Barbie movies that has ever walked the plains of Earth. It's been a while since I've seen Barbie and the Nutcracker, but surely they haven't made too many, so holy crap. There's 42 of them. Here's the plan. I'm going to be watching every Barbie movie ever made, and I'm going to be taking detailed notes on every single one. My main purpose here is to develop a concrete and airtight theory on what the true lore of the Barbie Cinematic Universe, also known as the BCU, is. It can reasonably be said that there are three eras of Barbie movies over the last 22 years that they've been releasing them. You've got 2001 through 2009, the classic era, 2010 through 2015, the fashion era, and 2016 to present day, the modern era. I am going to choose the worst Barbie movie from each of these eras to talk about at length. For the other 39 Barbie movies, I'm going to be ranking them based on 4 criteria. 1. Barbie's character. What did I think of Barbie in this film? Was she making reasonable choices, or was she being an absolute fool the entire time? 2. Story. Did it make sense? Was it interesting? Did I feel the characters had meaningful growth? 3. Moral. Often in these movies, they try to teach some sort of valuable lesson at the end, and I'm going to be ranking each of these movies based on the quality of its moral. And for the 4th criteria, animal sidekicks. Barbie and her antagonists often have a little sidekick with them, a little creature, and I will be ranking these based on my own personal perception of them because I can. Each of these categories are worth 5 points, which means that a perfect Barbie movie could get a maximum of 20 points. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's possible. These rankings are so I can talk about each Barbie movie without having to spend an inordinate amount of time doing so, because there's 42 of them. And as we progress through these films, I will be taking note of what we consider to be canon Barbie lore. There are many seasoned Barbie scholars out there that will argue that the Barbie cinematic universe is splintered into multiple different continuities. With all due respect, I think that's a pile of horse crap. I will be the first to develop a theory to connect every single Barbie movie together based on one simple foundation. Anything that Barbie does as herself in these films will be considered to be canon, as in it exists in the true universe of Barbie. So with all that being said, let's dive in to discover the true story of Barbie.
Here we go.
I can't believe that I'm doing this right now. This is the stupidest thing that I've ever decided to do. This is gonna be my base of operations for the next 4 or 5 days. And other than sleeping and taking notes on my laptop, I'm gonna be watching every single Barbie movie. So to start off, the first Barbie movie that was ever released was actually the only one that I ever really remember watching. Barbie and the Nutcracker, released in 2001. This was the first 3D animated Barbie movie that was ever released. And surprisingly, for this time, they were using cutting-edge 3D technology to make this Barbie movie. One of the studios that was leading the charge in making 3D animated movies was the people making the Barbie movies. That's a little ridiculous. The first of 42 movies, starting with 2001's Barbie and the Nutcracker. Oh god. This movie is a story Barbie tells her sister Kelly about a girl, Clara, who basically gets shrunk down by an evil mouse king and has to help this Nutcracker, who's actually a prince, free this kingdom from tyranny. It's based after the Nutcracker story, and it's honestly as good as I remember as a kid. There's a giant stone golem that chases after him, people are petrified into stone, the rat is evil and bad. It's even got a twist scene that blew my mind as a kid where they thought they reached a castle, and it turned out it was a cardboard cutout. And it ends with some banger dancing. I mean, look at them go. 5 out of 5. Barbie's choices are dubious at some points, but ultimately pretty solid, so 4 out of 5. And Barbie doesn't have her own animal sidekick, but the Rat King has a British bat, who's pathetic and slightly annoying, so 3 out of 5. The moral's pretty good. When you're kind, brave, and clever, anything is possible, so I think I'll give that a 5 out of 5, Barbie. Nice job. So Barbie and the Nutcracker gets a pretty solid score of 17 out of 20. Honestly, so much more of a banger than I thought it was. I realized why we watched that movie so much as a kid. I mean, that's a great kids movie. It had stakes, it had fear. Some of the stuff going on in this movie was intense.
Next up on the list this time is Barbie as Rapunzel. Here we go.
If you know the story of Rapunzel, you know how this movie generally goes. Princess, she's locked in a tower. She's got her adoptive mother, witch lady, that's manipulating her to stay locked away. You've got a prince who's got the hots for Punzi. And you've got two feuding kingdoms who are mad at each other because one king is the dad of Rapunzel, thought she was kidnapped by the other king, but actually, it was the witch lady. She's evil. Also, Rapunzel likes to paint and sometimes makes magic portals, and that's how the witch lady got in prison forever. Pretty straightforward retelling, 4 out of 5. Barbie's pretty much a stereotypical princess that can do no wrong, pretty middle of the road, so I'll give her a 3 out of 5. But the sidekicks in this movie are insane. Rapunzel has a purple dragon and a rabbit. Both can speak English. And then the witch lady has a weird ferret thing that I think is horny.
Oh, allow me, mistress.
Incredible sidekicks, 5 out of 5. Finally, the moral at the end is love and imagination can change the world, which feels a little contrived because in this case it only affects Rapunzel's life, so 3 out of 5. So overall, this movie gets a 15 out of 20.
Up next, we got Barbie of Swan Lake. Here we go.
Barbie of Swan Lake is the first movie where I was like, what's going on here? It's the story of a girl who's really good at dancing, and after she randomly follows a rogue unicorn into an enchanted forest and finds a crystal, she's told that she's the chosen one to beat this evil wizard Rothbart, who's turned everyone in that forest into animals, but only during the day. And the wizard shows up with his huge nose, by the way, and turns her into a swan. That sucks. And then she falls in love with a prince who thought her swan form was kind of cool, but then the wizard tries to make the prince marry her daughter with some trickery, but then they beat the wizard in the end, and the lovers get married at the end. This one was kind of all over the place, so 3 out of 5. Barbie's sort of a fool in this one. She's wandering into forests, grabbing random crystals, letting herself get turned into a swan. She's basically struggling the whole time, so 3 out of 5. The sidekicks are a bunch of elves that are definitely just human children, and they're fools because they got turned into animals too, so 3 out of 5 for that mistake. And then the moral is you're braver than you think, which is like, I mean, yeah. I'm sure most people are. 3 out of 5. Total score for this one, 12 out of 20.
Princess and the Pauper. Princess and the Pauper. Princess and the Pauper. Princess doing Pauper.
This is another retelling of the classic fairy tale, The Prince and the Pauper. Basically, you've got two girls, one a princess who's rich, one a seamstress living in poverty and debt, and they meet one day and realize they look identical to each other. Also, there's this evil royal advisor, Preminger, surprisingly played by Martin Short, who is secretly stealing all the gold from the kingdom and wants to take over the throne by marrying the queen. He's also got an evil demon boy song.
By marrying the princess, I get all that I desire, like a moat, an ermine coat, and palace views.
Actually a banger. So Preminger kidnaps the princess to remove the kingdom's heir, and the pauper pretends to be the princess while they try to find her, and they eventually do, and Preminger gets arrested for being a bad boy in the end. Honestly, there's some pretty good voice acting and songs in this movie, and while there was some for sure goofy parts, I'd give it a 5 out of 5. Barbie is technically both of these characters, but it's a little naive when the princess is telling the other woman in poverty that she's just like her in song.
I'm just like you. I think that's true. You're just like me. Yes, I can see.
So probably a 4 out of 5. The sidekicks in this movie are just two cats that each of the girls own. They can speak to each other, but not the humans. I'm just gonna give them a 4 out of 5. And the moral is just live your dream, which is so basic, so I'm gonna give that a 3 out of 5. Overall, Princess and the Pauper gets a 16 out of 20.
So I've seen 4 Barbie movies thus far, which means that I have done an 11th of the total amount of Barbie movies. I've had my laptop here this whole time and I've been gathering information. I have no idea if it means anything yet, but I've got my suspicions.
So let's go over what we've learned in terms of lore. The main situations we see Barbie playing herself are at the beginning of the first 3 films. In Nutcracker, Rapunzel, and Swan Lake, we see Barbie teaching some sort of lesson to her younger sister, Kelly. In Princess and the Pauper, while it doesn't include Barbie and Kelly, it has a blooper reel at the end that gives us a lot of lore as well. For starters, a blooper reel implies that it's a movie being filmed within Barbie's canon universe. And it can be reasonably assumed that the first 3 movies were also movies that were filmed within that universe. So Barbie is an actress that works in the film industry. On top of that, some of the weirder lore we get from the blooper reel include animals speaking in the canon universe, such as the sidekick Serafina. So we now know that there are intelligent, speaking, and sentient animals in Barbie's canon universe, which is a little bit weird. That's pretty much all we know so far, so let's keep going. Before we continue on though, this video is sponsored by BetterHelp. As I've mentioned in the past, I have ADHD. And since I have a job that requires a lot of personal executive function, it can sometimes be a weight to my own personal mental health. I know I'm a YouTuber, okay? But I also get overwhelmed every now and then. And even though I've been kind of living as me my whole life and I know how my brain works, there's still room to grow in there. Oftentimes it's helpful to speak to a therapist if you don't have the right tools to deal with the struggles you go through just kind of living life. And sometimes you might not have the network or feel comfortable talking with friends and family about what you might be dealing with. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. First, you go to their site using my link at betterhelp.com/TedNivison. You answer a few questions and BetterHelp will match you to a professional who has years of experience helping people with struggles like yours. You can do it all from your phone or computer, via phone call, video chat, messaging, however you feel most comfortable. It's the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. You'll be matched with a therapist usually within 48 hours so you can get started fast. Visit betterhelp.com/TedNivison or choose my name during sign up and you'll get a special discount on your first month. Thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring, and let's get back to the video. Today is day 2 of watching every Barbie movie ever made. Today, I have 10 to watch. Or 11 or 12. So up next this morning is 2005's Barbie Fairytopia. So, back downstairs I go. As of now, I don't see a single problem with watching all these Barbie movies. My mental state is perfection right now. Maybe I feel like I won't have enough today and I'll watch more. Let's do it. Looking at this thumbnail for what this movie is gonna be, I'm already excited. Look at this goblin. Look at that Grimbley. Barbie Fairytopia. Barbie Fairytopia is a movie that goes total left field from folklore retelling and just starts making their own stuff up. It's the story of a wingless flower fairy named Alina who is bullied relentlessly for being disabled by having no wings, until an evil witch lady and her minion Fungus give all of the fairies COVID-19 and they can't fly anymore. And she's trying to steal some magic from some important fairies. So Alina embarks on a journey to basically defeat the witch fairy, and in the end Alina has her wish granted of having her own wings. It's a pretty crazy story, but honestly very creative, so 4 out of 5. The character Barbie plays in this is pretty resourceful, obviously because she's lived her whole life being different. I would say she did a pretty good job in this, so 4 out of 5. For sidekicks, we gotta talk about this motherfucker Bibble. This character has gotta be the worst sidekick I've seen in probably any piece of media that I've watched. Listen to this devious creature speak.
Bibble, you startled me.
In my watch notes, when we first see him, I literally have written, Barbie's got a sleeping little creepy weirdo as my first impression of him. Not only that, but Bibble receives an insane amount of physical punishment in this movie that is borderline sadistic of the writers to do. But if you knew Bibble and what he stood for, you'd be satisfied it was going on. 0 out of 5, I wish I could go lower. The moral of this movie is what makes you different makes you special, but that has no value when the ending was making Barbie's character like everyone else by giving her wings. 1 out of 5. Overall, Barbie Fairytopia gets a 9 out of 20.
Just finished Barbie Fairytopia. What the fuck is a Bibble?
Next up on the list is Barbie and the Magic of Pegasus. Here we go.
Barbie and the Magic of Pegasus is a wild story. Barbie is a girl named Princess Annika who befriends this pink Pegasus, who also is her sister under a curse, and she's brought to this cloud kingdom. She's got 3 days to break the spell of, you guessed it, an evil wizard named Wenlock who turned her whole family to stone, and they have to assemble this wand of light that can beat Wenlock that's also apparently a myth, and it's built with 3 very vague things.
From a measure of courage, a ring of love, and a gem of ice lit by hope's eternal flame.
Those are barely those are notions of things. But they managed to build it and eventually defeat Wenlock in the end. 3 out of 5. Barbie is less of a perfect person in this, but she does have some growth across the movie and learns to appreciate her family, so I'll give her a 4 out of 5. The sidekick in this one is a baby polar bear she meets at the beginning of the film, and this sidekick causes far more problems for Barbie and her team than helps them. There's like several times this thing almost gets them killed. I'm gonna give the polar bear a 1 out of 5. And the moral is, there is always hope, which I suppose is a fair moral, because there was always hope despite the fact that that polar bear was trying to screw him up the whole time. 3 out of 5. Overall, this one gets an 8 out of 20.
Magic of Pegasus, done. Done with that one. Oh god. Next up is Barbie Fairytopia : Mermaidia. So I guess that means that we're going back to Fairytopia with this one.
But this time we're getting more into mermaids. Barbie's character Alina has to travel to this place called Mermaidia because this mermaid prince she met in the last movie got kidnapped because evil witch lady, she's back. But this time she's looking for a special berry that'll make her super OP. There's a creepy human-faced turtle I did not like at all, a little weirdo speaking in riddles, and the embodiment of gluttony and greed, Bibble, is back, so that's awful. There's also this weird thing where Alina takes a risk where she swaps her wings for a tail and then makes a sacrifice where she's supposedly stuck as a mermaid, but then there's a plot armor berry she eats and she's just even more fairy than before. So no choice a character makes is permanent. Also, Witch Lady got turned into a frog. 3 out of 5. Barbie's character in this is fine. It's always kind of like working out for her though. No risk she takes means anything, so 3 out of 5. You already heard me, sidekick is Bibble again. At one point he gets a voice.
Well, hello, Barry. Don't you look lovely today?
Which was kind of interesting, but it's still Bibble, so it sucks. 0 out of 5, I don't want to see Bibble again. I don't think I can handle that. The moral is trust your true self, which I guess connects because Alina turns into her true self at the end, so 4 out of 5. So overall, Barbie Mermaidia gets a 10 out of 20. When I finished that last Fairytopia film, I was thinking I would get another fairy tale-esque Barbie movie next. We're talking princesses, weird little animal friends, sometimes a big rat with a scepter that can use magic, normal stuff. After all, we are in the classic era of Barbie movies, which is mostly just fairy tales through the lens of Barbie, and then sometimes Bibble shows up. I fucking hate that guy. So it's safe to say that I was shocked when I was assaulted, and I mean assaulted, by the next film, Barbie Diaries. And part of that was because I wasn't totally sure what I was looking at.
Everyone has got a seat.
Seems that they took a bit of creative liberties with the animation style this time. What happened to you, Barbie? What's wrong with you? You've been turned into a husk. I don't know why they changed it. The previous animation style was perfectly fine. Every character in this film moves around like a papier-mâché doll with a squirrel inside moving the limbs. Did somebody at Mattel decide the best way to tell Barbie's true story was by generating an entire movie in The Sims 2? Either way, here's the beginning of the official description of the movie. So, you're like not gonna believe this awesome story. It's filled with friendship and magic, super cool music, stylish fashion, and of course, romance. That sounds like a teenager giving a pitch for the worst movie you've ever heard. Unlike the previous films, Barbie is actually herself in this film. In fact, this is the first Barbie movie that's about Barbie's life, which also means, ding 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 ding, that's the lore bell, it's ringing. That means we're gonna discover some canon lore in this movie. With that being said, let's dive into this film. The movie opens with Barbie and her friends Tia and Courtney hanging out in presumably Barbie's garage, slacking off from rehearsing for their band. Their filmmaker friend Kevin comes in with a classic boy next door entrance, saying a cool line.
Wow, this is an impressive band practice.
For your information, we rehearsed for like a full 10 minutes.
I'd say 10. Easily 10.
A full 8 minutes.
What the fuck? If that hit him, that would have hurt. That's a drumstick, and she whipped it at him. Imagine if it just hit him in the eye and then he's screaming on the floor. Roll credits. Kevin reminds them that they had plans to watch the sunset together. While they're watching the sunset, they each wish for something for their upcoming sophomore year. Barbie wishes to anchor the school news channel, Courtney wishes to improve her drumming, and Tia wishes to be class president. However, Kevin refuses to say his wish out loud.
Well, you can't say your wish out loud. You'll totally jinx it.
We just did.
I know. Sorry about that. Could have been a great year for you guys.
Do they just hate Kevin? That was a malicious push. The first day of sophomore year arrives, the girls are driving to school, and we see plenty of establishing shots of Sims University. And it seems like every character moves in a bone-chilling way. I get physically uncomfortable watching these characters interact with each other. They don't seem like they should be real. Why does he have such a hard time getting that paper off his back? Just go like this. When the girls arrive at school, they have their parking spot taken by guess who? The antagonist of the film, and Barbie's greatest rival, Raquel.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you guys going for this spot? How awkward. It's for the best. You saved her the embarrassment of parking that junkie where people can actually see it. How nice of me.
If you can't tell already, this movie borrows a heavy amount of inspiration from Mean Girls, which sort of makes sense when you consider that this movie came out in 2005, the year after Mean Girls came out. And with the popularity of that movie, it doesn't surprise me that people at Mattel were like, what the fuck are we doing writing fairy tales? We need a story about girls being nasty to each other. That's what children want. If you don't think it's feeling similar to Mean Girls now, you will later. Next up, we introduce the love interest of Barbie, which is done in the most incredible manner.
And survive the Jeep rides.
This character, Todd, is carrying the weight of the entire early 2000s on his back. He is a legend. Are you seeing how badass he is? Look how he walked in he gave a high five to a guy.
Having a crush on Mr. Hottie's school jock guy is a cliche. And frankly, I think you're better than that.
Really? You think that Barbie is above being a cliche? Are we talking about the same person here? She's literally Barbie. This is a bit nitpicky also, but why are we considering Todd to be hot in this scenario? These character models are practically just a pair of eyes and lips, and they all look the same. Also, when they get far away from them, they look like they just have beads for eyes. Especially Barbie. Basically, Barbie thinks that Todd is waving at her, but oh, No way. He's dating Raquel, her rival. And then he goes to hang out in the Quad, which is allegedly reserved for only popular people.
It's just a lawn. I don't know why the popular people are the only ones who can hang out there.
I understand high school can be cliquey, but how would they ever enforce that? Especially since it's the 2000s at an open-air campus. There's no way you're keeping the hacky-sack kids away from that grass, okay? Unless you wanted to start a war, that is. And right after, Tia announces her solution to the Quad problem.
First thing I'm gonna do when I'm elected is to eliminate clique hangouts.
Seems like a bit of an overreach of power for a student council president, but I respect the energy. I think that wouldn't work, and then everyone who is popular would hate you. Barbie then goes to attempt to pitch herself as being the school news anchor to the teacher running the news station, Mr. Wexler, but oh no again. Raquel has just been cast as the next school news anchor. This is terrible because that's her rival. So now, the rivalry is pretty serious, especially when the journalism teacher assigns Barbie as being Raquel's assistant.
Listen, I'm glad you're here. You're the most dedicated student on our staff. We could really use you around the station this year.
Really?
Raquel's gonna need a top-notch assistant. You get to do absolutely everything an anchor does. Except be on air.
Things take a turn in Barbie's favor, though, when Kevin shows her a video he captured of Raquel and Todd breaking up while he was filming cheerleader practice.
I was shooting cheerleader practice, and look what wandered into my shot.
Why were you shooting cheerleader practice, Kevin?
Look, do you want to see the footage or not?
Why do these girls associate with Kevin? They don't seem to like him, and he's clearly got some voyeuristic tendencies. Either way, Barbie runs into Todd at his locker, and she pulls some classic Barbie riz, as the kids are saying these days. And next thing you know, Barbie and Todd are hanging out at the bleachers while Todd's leg no-clips into the back rooms. Barbie and Kevin later have a movie night together, as Barbie has friend-zoned Kevin into the absolute abyss, and he suggests that Barbie should try to co-anchor with Raquel. When she tries to ask Mr. Wexler if she could co-anchor, he says he would only agree if she had a good enough story, as if he's running a real news station, and he's trying to get pictures of Spider-Man. Now this is when things start to become interesting, because Barbie and Todd are now going to the fall formal together. The dance. The big dance. And Todd asks Barbie to watch his football practice, which gives us this incredible scene.
Yes.
And then Raquel is like competing with her or something by flirting with other dudes on the football field to try to make Todd jealous. Doesn't seem like Todd and Raquel had a very healthy relationship, to be completely honest. Next up, the girls head to the mall to find outfits for the fall formal.
Oh, look at this. Bejeweled Asian utensils, cute hair accessories, or drumsticks.
I don't know what it is, but there's something strange about calling chopsticks Asian utensils and then immediately start using them as drumsticks. Eventually, Barbie finds an outfit for the fall formal, but uh-oh. Raquel and her friends are also at the same store at this mall. Raquel sees Barbie shopping for the fall formal, and she picks up her phone to call someone. Immediately after, Barbie gets a call from Todd telling her that Raquel and him are back together and that they can't go to the fall formal together anymore. Which means that Raquel saw Barbie happy and then decides that she can't have that, so she gets back together with Todd. And Todd just says yes, as if he didn't already have plans with Barbie. They're both awful people. Also, this happens in Mean Girls as well. So Barbie is obviously bummed about this, and the store clerk sees this. So she decides to give Barbie this bejeweled diary with a bracelet that opens the lock for it. Because she's now so fucking miserable, she starts writing in the diary every day. Raquel continues to bully Barbie in school for like really stupid things. For instance, they gave her crap for doing well on a test and messing up the curve.
Congratulations, Barbie.
Way to throw off the curve, Barbie.
Also, this teacher has the most skin-tight collared shirt I've ever had the displeasure of seeing. That shirt is grafted onto his skin.
Barbie, I need you to do research for my next big story. Fashion. That's your big story? I mean, it's fun and all, but I was thinking... Don't care.
And when Barbie becomes frustrated with how Raquel doesn't care about the news, but rather just being a popular girl, this gives her the idea to write a story for the school news about the difference between popular and unpopular students. On top of this, Barbie decides to sign her and her friend's band, which is called Charms with a Z, for an audition to play at the fall formal, but she's very clearly doing it for selfish reasons.
And Wexler will see that I can be bold and exciting. And for once, people will know me as something other than the girl who ruins the curve.
So we're setting up a situation where Barbie is placing her friends on the sidelines for her own personal gain.
It's such a cool thing to be doing. But they end up successfully auditioning for the fall formal, so Barbie and her friends are now going to be playing at the dance. So now we got two storylines that are intersecting here, maybe three, and I'll try my best to explain it. On one side, Barbie is attempting to infiltrate and gain the trust of the popular girls so she can essentially write a hit piece on them, so that she can become the new news anchor for the school for her own personal gain. And then we've got Barbie, Courtney, and Tia needing to practice in order to perform at the fall formal that Barbie had them audition for Barbie's own personal gain. Her pitch to her friends is like, guys, I know we've never performed before, but don't you get how fucking cool that would make me? By the way, I have no idea how they nailed the audition, because they've never played in front of a crowd before, and they clearly don't have interest in practicing, as can be seen in the first scene of the film. On top of that, Kevin has started sending Barbie secret admirer letters, but she's a fool and she thinks that they're from Todd, who we know at this point has the mental capacity of an iguana. Basically what happens from here on out is that Barbie starts writing in this diary, and the wishes that she expressed in the diary start coming true, which leads Barbie to believe that her good luck is due to her writing these wishes in the diary. Meaning that the diary is magical, of course. Essentially, Barbie believes that she's acquired a more powerful version of the Death Note. If you've seen Mean Girls, you generally know what happens next. Barbie becomes incredibly engrossed in her infiltration of the popular girls, to the point where she's legitimately hanging out with them and gossiping about people for her news story, including her friends.
So we decided to audition for the fall formal. Oh, hi. Hi there. Hi. It's such a loser.
As a result of this, she begins to stop prioritizing practicing with charms, which, you know, rightfully pisses her friends off. This whole story comes to a head when the Mean Girls find out that Barbie is writing a hit piece on them, and her friends find out that the hit piece also includes her telling secrets to the Mean Girls about them. Raquel also steals Barbie's bracelet, meaning that she can't use her diary anymore, which leads her to frantically try to find the bracelet while all of her interpersonal relationships are dissolving around her. Basically, Barbie has become the worst human imaginable, and she deserves to be punished for her selfishness and greed. Barbie's going to hell. Sorry, kids. However, she has a change of heart and realizes the error of her ways, and instead of airing the hit piece, she chooses to play all of the short films that Kevin made over the summer. This leads her friends to forgive her for being an absolute cock for almost the entire movie, and Charms is somehow able to do an incredible job at the fall formal. Even though Barbie has been skipping practice for weeks and they've never performed in front of a crowd before, she just gets up there and starts rocking out. Barbie suddenly has the confidence and poise of a rock star, and it was done all through the power of forgiveness. And Raquel is so mad that Barbie is a rock star that she gets covered in punch! And she's running around in the punch and she's screaming. And then, oh my god, Barbie finds out that Kevin was the one writing the secret admirer letters. And now he's going from friend zone to bone zone, baby. One of the things that sort of confused me about the diary situation in this movie, though, is that she eventually realizes that the diary was not magic. And in reality, she's just like good at everything. She's just lucky inherently. So that's Barbie Diaries. If I had to give this movie a rating, it would be as follows. So for the Barbie score, I'm giving it a 0 out of 5. I think the story was somewhat interesting, mostly because it was taking pieces out of the Mean Girls playbook, but generally it just involved Barbie intentionally infiltrating a friend group for dirt and then realizing that was wrong, and then everything works out for her in the end. So like, 2 out of 5. For the moral, this was one of the few Barbie movies that did not have a quote at the end. So I'm gonna have to guess that the moral was that you should treat your friends with respect, and that like being a popular person is vapid, which I suppose is a good moral. So maybe 3 out of 5. She did not have an animal sidekick in this movie. This is a pretty rare thing for Barbie not to have a little creature with her, and I'm pretty upset by it. 0 out of 5. Which means that Barbie Diaries gets a 5 out of 20 on the Ted Barbie scale. Without a doubt, this was determined to be the worst Barbie movie in the classic era of Barbie movies. But don't be fooled. I still had more to watch.
Just finished Barbie Diaries. That was a weird movie. Next up is Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses. Hope it goes well.
Barbie's got a lot of sisters in this one, and they're all royalty, but despite that, they all live in the same room in a palace with probably 700 rooms. Their mom's dead, so the king's like, I need some help with this shit. So he brings in his cousin Rowena, who turns out to be an absolute frickin' asshole. She's like a total dick, turns the girl's room into like barracks, and what makes matters worse, she's got an evil monkey. The girls discover a secret room that is magical, and they do all-night benders dancing down there and lie about it to Rowena's chagrin. And at the same time, Rowena's basically poisoning the king but pretending he's sick, to the point where she manages to get the kingdom signed over to her. But then the girls fight her and they heal the king, and that's the end. Fucking 3 out of 5. Barbie's fine in this one. She basically dances and has 11 sisters. 3 out of 5, I guess. For sidekicks, you got Barbie's cat, a parrot, and the evil monkey. And the monkey is like really evil.
So I'm gonna give that evil monkey a 5 out of 5. That monkey's crazy, dude. The moral is, there is a difference only you can make, which is hilarious as a quote, when it was 12 collective sisters specifically in this story that made a difference. So 2 out of 5. Overall, 12 Dancing Princesses gets a 13 out of 20. Next up is Barbie Fairytopia Magic of the Rainbow. Let's do it. Son of a bitch. Okay, so we're back in Fairytopia again for the third time. This time Alina's going to fairy school. She's training to be an apprentice for those important fairies I mentioned earlier. They're trying to do a silly little ritual called the Flight of Spring. If you don't do it, then you get like a decade of winter. Also, evil frog witch lady is trying to mess things up. Obviously, they defeat her, but this time, according to the Barbie Wikipedia, she is killed permanently, like dead. So that's crazy. Like every Fairytopia movie, something bad happens, there's the appearance of permanent consequence, but then everything works out. So 3 out of 5. Barbie's character does something really silly in this, where she's tricked into turning evil witch lady back from a frog and just trusts the frog based on its word alone, and then is gaslit by the rest of the fairies that it wasn't the evil witch lady. So she really struggles in this, so 2 out of 5. For sidekicks, things got way worse in this Fairytopia, because not only is Bibble in this movie, they introduce him a love interest named Dizzle, who is a pink female puffball wearing lipstick. I had no idea that things could get worse. 0 out of 5. The moral is, together we're strong. I guess it is fine. 3 out of 5. Overall, the third Fairytopia gets an 8 out of 20. Next up, we got Barbie. She's gonna be on an island. Here we go. Barbie and the Island Princess is about Barbie's character Ro living by herself, alone on an island with 3 animal sidekicks she can speak to, until Ken comes to town and colonizes her, and she just kind of trusts this stranger and gets on his boat and goes back to his kingdom with him. And as she's exploring civilization for the first time with her animal pals, they discover, big surprise, an evil plot to take over the kingdom. How many times are we gonna do this? Basically, they beat the evil lady with the big hair trying to take over the kingdom, and it turns out that Ro is actually the lost daughter of another king and queen. Baba Booey, she's the island princess, and she gets married to colonizer Ken. It was a pretty interesting premise though, so I'd give it a 4 out of 5. This character for Barbie is pretty funny because she's the only one who can speak to the animals, so I imagine when she does this, everyone thinks that she's fucking insane. So I'd give her a 3 out of 5. There are a lot of sidekicks in this, but the main ones I'll talk about are Ro's elephant friend Tika, who frequently is an absolute asshole and has abandonment issues, and is also a total cockblock towards Barbie's character. Not a fan of Tika. But then the villain has these 3 little rats named Nat, Pat, and Matt, and the rats have an awesome song where they sing about cheese the whole time.
We are a trio of hungry fellas who dream at night about mozzarellas.
So you can tell I was a bit conflicted on the rating here, but I like that cheese song, so I'll give it a 4 out of 5. The moral at the end is, there may be miracles awaiting, they may be closer than we know, when we have love to guide us as we go, which is just a lyric taken from one of the songs. I think that's lazy, so 2 out of 5. Overall, Barbie as the Island Princess gets a 13 out of 20. Next up is Barbie Mariposa. Rock on, baby. Barbie Mariposa and Her Butterfly Fairy Friends, released in 2008, was the first Barbie movie of the 2008 housing crisis. Also, this is a story Alina from Fairytopia is telling to Bibble, so it's like folklore from the Fairytopia universe. Good luck digesting that one. Anyways, this movie is Butterfly Fairy Attack on Titan. They literally have flying titans outside their city walls called Skeezites that eat the butterfly fairies. And they're ugly and weird and kind of have faces that remind me of Thomas the Tank Engine, but that's besides the point. This story was once again centered around a royal figure being poisoned as part of an attempt to usurp a throne. But besides that, I'd say this was some cool world building going on, and I can't believe that I'm saying this, but a refreshing change in the Fairytopia universe. I did not think anything like that would come out of my mouth. 4 out of 5. Barbie's character in the story is pretty solid. I think she makes some good choices, so I'll give her a 4 out of 5. And the main animal sidekick in this is a rabbit butterfly thing, who I'd say is a good sidekick, but Bibble did show up in this movie, so 2 out of 5. And the moral is, the most beautiful thing you can be is yourself. And personally, I think that that's a really nice sentence and sort of connects to the butterfly theming, so 5 out of 5. Overall, Barbie Mariposa gets a 15 out of 20.
Now on to my 13th Barbie movie, which is Barbie and the Diamond Castle.
Okay, this is a story Barbie and her friend Teresa tell her sister Stacy about 2 friends, Liana and Alexa. They're both like mega poor, probably because they sell fucking flowers for a living. And they get into like a huge situation after finding some heart-shaped stones and also getting a mirror from an old lady. Because the mirror's got a girl in it, and she's in there because she's hiding from this evil lady Lydia, so she can't find the Diamond Castle, because that's like the birthplace of music. Duh, don't you know where music comes from? So they go on this journey and they meet some cute boys, and also Lydia's got a dragon named Slider who just won't quit. He's trying to kill him all the time. But in the end, they managed to defeat Lydia through the power of music and friendship. And also, didn't see this one coming, are made princesses of music. This one's okay, 3 out of 5. Barbie's character doesn't do anything specific to piss me off in this, but she does have some character growth, so 4 out of 5. The sidekicks are the main issue in this movie. These 2 dogs, Sparkle and Lily, are some of the weirdest sidekicks I've seen from a Barbie movie. They're like normal dogs, most of the time, until they start dancing. horrifying, honestly, seeing these dogs do that dance. It's like the animators took human dancing motion capture and applied it to these dogs and didn't change anything. Also, they've got human teeth. Are these elves dressed in the skin of dogs? I don't think that these are actually dogs. 0 out of 5, without a doubt. The moral at the end is friendship is the true treasure, and I think that's a great moral for what this story was, so 5 out of 5. So overall, Diamond Castle gets a 12 out of 20.
Next up is Barbie in A Christmas Carol? Here we go.
Barbie in A Christmas Carol is just a retelling of A Christmas Carol, but instead it's about this singer named Eden Starling instead of Scrooge. If you know A Christmas Carol, you know how this goes. Easy 4 out of 5. The character Barbie plays in this is actually the first time I've seen Mattel be willing to portray Barbie in kind of a negative light for most of the movie. I think they get away with it because they make her British, but I'm not going to expand on that. But obviously, as with this story, she has a whole character arc and an entire new lease on life, so I'd give her a 4 out of 5 as well. Eden's sidekick is a cat named Chuzzlewit. He's also lazy and greedy, and probably all the other sins too. The only thing I'll give him is not being Bibble, so 1 out of 5. The moral at the end is keep the beauty of Christmas in your heart every day of the year, and I get where they're coming from, but also kind of an insane ask, so 3 out of 5. Overall, Barbie in A Christmas Carol gets a 12 out of 20.
It's Thumbelina time. Let's go. Thumbelina.
This movie was not bad at all. Basically, it's just a story about a Twillerby named Thumbelina that has effectively no relation to the 19th century fairy tale. She lives in some flowers and a spoiled girl, and her parents want to build like a Walmart where she lives, but she befriends the girl and manages to save their home. It's got some environmental themes to it. 4 out of 5. Barbie doesn't really show up in this film that much. Usually the main character is a character played by Barbie, but because of this end scene where Thumbelina is made canon, by the way, they're separate people, Barbie is just kind of there at the beginning. So I'll give her a 4 out of 5 because she didn't really do anything wrong. For sidekicks, there isn't much of a sidekick in this one except this really ugly dog. And that dog, for me, is a 1 out of 5 dog. The moral is even the smallest person can make a difference. I think this is a perfect moral for this movie, to be honest, so 5 out of 5. Overall, Thumbelina gets a 14 out of 20.
I'm on to the final movie of the night, Barbie and the Three Musketeers. I'm doing so well, and my mental state is at an all-time high.
So we're going to France for this Barbie movie because Barbie plays Corinne, a girl living on a farm whose dad was a musketeer and she's got dreams of being one herself. So she goes to Paris and tries to become a musketeer, but it turns out sexism is real in 17th century France. So instead she ends up working as a palace maid and along the way meets 3 other girls, and they all end up getting trained to be musketeers by this old lady maid in sort of a Mr. Miyagi type scenario. Also, there's this evil advisor to the prince, you know the drill. Motherfucker wants that throne. But Corinne and her friends end up becoming musketeer Power Rangers of sorts, and they all beat the bad guys. Also, they say don't mess with the dress like more than once in this movie. Personally, I thought it was cool to see Barbie fighting with a sword in this, so I'd give it like a 4 out of 5. Barbie does sort of show up to the palace though at the beginning, just expecting that she'd immediately be made a musketeer, so I'm gonna give her a 3 out of 5. Barbie's sidekick is her kitten Miette, who also has aspirations of becoming a musketeer. I thought they were a good sidekick, but they got into some trouble at times, so 4 out of 5. The moral is true courage is pursuing your dream even when everyone else says it's impossible, and honestly, I think that's a 5 out of 5 moral for me. So overall, Barbie and the Three Musketeers gets a 16 out of 20.
And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, the first era of Barbie movies I have finished watching. I think it was like 13 movies or something like that. I just watched Barbie and the Three Musketeers, and Barbie and her friends kicked ass. Tomorrow is a new day, and you know I'm feeling great. I feel like I'm really starting to understand some various pieces of lore. There's some serious strings that's pulling this whole thing together.
So what have we learned? Barbie is an actress in all of these films, with the exception of small portions that she shows up in Christmas Carol, Thumbelina, and Diamond Castle. In Barbie Diaries, Waffle House is lore. I don't know what this will mean for us, but it's lore. We also learned that Barbie lives in Malibu, California. Barbie's got some friends, Tia Courtney and Kevin, and also an enemy, Raquel. Beyond that, in this movie, Barbie is starting her sophomore year in high school. This could possibly be before Barbie started her time working as an actress, but I'm still figuring out the timelines here, okay? You guys gotta give me a chance. In Barbie and the Diamond Castle, we get another glimpse of a sister of Barbie, Stacy. So we're kind of building out the family tree in Barbie's canon lore. In Barbie and A Christmas Carol, we get some serious lore drops as well. First of all, Barbie identifies with some denomination of Christianity as they celebrate Christmas. Not only that, but there's a huge implication at the end of the film that the character that Barbie plays, Eden Starling, is actually one of Barbie's ancestors. This is because of the snow globe that she gives to Kelly at the end of the film, as that that's the same snow globe that Eden Starling passed down to her children. That shit's fucking lore. Also, Barbie has a friend named Nick. And finally, as I mentioned, in Barbie Thumbelina, Twillerbees, little fairies that can do plant magic, yeah, they're canon. Because at the end of the film, Barbie literally waves to them as she walks away, and they do some like plant magic and make a tree grow in the canon world. Twillerbees, plant magic, both canon, both real. That's all the canon information that we've learned for today, so let's keep going. Today is day 3 of watching every Barbie movie ever made. Over the last 2 days, I've watched 16 Barbie movies, only stopping to sleep, and I'm feeling right as rain. We're now officially moving from the classic era of Barbie movies into the fashion era. I'm not totally sure what this means because I'm seeing a lot of mermaid and princess and fairy tale and fairy as words being used in the titles of these upcoming movies. But I think what we're gonna see is a movement from Barbie as a princess and a fairy and whatever, moving over to focusing more on Barbie and her friends, like in the illustrious Barbie Diaries. This whole era of Barbie movies includes this many movies, 13 movies in total, so I'm thinking that maybe... Who put this shirt on me? Hello? I have no idea how this shirt got on my chest. American? Well, that seems a little on the nose. Okay, I'm watching a lot of Barbie movies, but I'm not gonna wear Barbie paraphernalia. That's not something that I'm gonna do. What the fuck? Okay, so let's start with the 17th Barbie... What the... Keep calm and be a Barbie? We're just gonna continue with the 17th Barbie movie, Barbie and a Mermaid Tale. In this one, we've got Barbie's character Malia. She's a surfer girl, and she's cool as shit. And she finds out she's half mermaid and heir to the throne of a mermaid kingdom. But also, she's got an evil aunt. Damn. So she sets out on a journey with a pink dolphin to collect 3 things to defeat her, and when she does at the end, her aunt is banished to the Marianas Trench. I'd say there was far less ridiculous moments in this plot, and it felt a lot cleaner than some previous Barbie movies, so I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I'd probably give this Barbie's character a 3 out of 5, and for sidekicks, the pink dolphin was okay. I honestly can't really tell you anything of note that pulls me in either direction about them, so 3 out of 5. And the moral at the end is what makes you different just might be your greatest strength. And I agree, the ability to breathe underwater and be a mermaid is OP as fuck. 5 out of 5. So overall, Barbie and a Mermaid Tale gets a 15 out of 20.
Looks like Barbie's gonna teach me a little something about fashion. Let's do it.
This movie is the first time since Barbie Diaries that we get a story that entirely exists within Barbie's canon universe, which is big for lore, let me tell you. Basically, Barbie's working as an actress, and she gets fucking fired, and then Ken breaks up with her, so she's like, screw this, I'm going to France to start helping my Aunt Millicent run her failing fashion design studio, so she does. They end up trying to do a fashion show to buy her aunt's building back from a hot dog company. Also, there's fairies, but they're fashion fairies, so they're called flairies. Also, Ken actually didn't break up with her, because that was our old pal Raquel being a devious swindler, so there's a B plot where he's trying to get to France the whole time to make amends with Barbie. And finally, the evil fashion designer across the street actually apologizes in the end and doesn't end up dead or arrested, which was honestly a first. I thought it was pretty good, so for the story, 5 out of 5. Barbie is pretty good in this, and instead of being the main talent in this story, she actually supports the skills of her aunt's assistant rather than being the gifted one herself, and I thought that was a pretty cool choice, so 5 out of 5. For sidekicks, Barbie's got a poodle named Sequin, and there's like a whole, pet romance side story thing where this French dog, Jacques, wants to make Sequin his muse. They also do more dancing at the end on their hind legs and stuff. We already know I hate that. I think for the sidekicks, a 3 out of 5. The moral is magic happens when you believe in yourself, and to be honest, I think they could have done better, so 3 out of 5. Overall, Barbie and a Fashion Fairy Tale gets a 16 out of 20.
I'm getting on watching a decade worth of Barbie movies. We continue to push on. What the... We continue to push on, and things happening around me are normal.
Barbie: A Fairy Secret is weird, mostly for lore, because once again we're involving magic and fairies into the canon world of Barbie, which is starting to stress me out a bit. It starts off with Barbie at a red carpet premiere, and then devolves into Ken getting kidnapped by some fairies, and Barbie and Raquel team up and travel to Los Angeles to prevent Ken from being married to this fairy girl. There's a lot of fashion themes. There's Pegaponies, which are apparently distinct from Pegasus. Ken has to fight a duel. I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5. Barbie in this has some good moments, especially when she and Raquel sit down and actually talk out their rivalry with each other. So there's some real growth there. I'd give her a 4 out of 5. For sidekicks, there isn't any. And that actually kind of pisses me off, so 0 out of 5. And the moral is forgiveness lets you fly. And this connects well to her making amends with Raquel, so 4 out of 5. Overall, Barbie: A Fairy Secret gets 11 out of 20.
Next up is Barbie Princess Charm School. Here we go.
I'm just gonna come out and say this. This Barbie movie is kind of a banger. Barbie stars as this character Blair Willows, who wins a lottery and gets a scholarship to Princess Charm School, which is where you can train to be a princess or a lady royal if you're not of royal blood. She chooses to go because her family isn't super rich and her mom is sick, and it leads into this whole story of her training to be a princess. It's got high school drama vibes. There's also a hint of Sky High in this because it's like a special high school. And in general, I'd say this is one of the most interesting Barbie movies I've seen that took a really creative take on the princess theming. And despite the potentially dystopian environment of a world where there's a lottery to become a princess and that's someone's only option to pull their family out of like poverty, I'd give it a 5 out of 5. I'd also probably give Barbie's character in this a 4 out of 5. For sidekicks, Blair has a dog named Prince who's just a cool dog, but they've also got these fairy assistants that are assigned to each student. I'm unsure if they're getting paid to do this or this is something more nefarious. So for the vagueness of that, I'll give it 3 out of 5. The moral is there's a princess in every girl. Kind of weak moral, 3 out of 5. So Barbie Princess Charm School gets a 15 out of 20.
We got another Christmas movie, Barbie A Perfect Christmas. Wish me luck.
Barbie A Perfect Christmas is when I start to lose faith in the future of Barbie movies because this is just a whole lot of nothing. The story is Barbie and her sisters, Skipper, Stacy, and Chelsea going on a trip to New York. Wait, hold on, back up a second. Chelsea? Who the hell is this? That's Kelly, isn't it? Barbie's youngest sister's name is Kelly. Who the hell is Chelsea? What the fuck happened to Kelly? Anyways, they're traveling to New York City to meet their aunt, but inclement weather forces their flight to land in bumfuck Minnesota. So they end up at like a weird hotel where there's heavy implications that it's like the North Pole and the people working there are elves in Minnesota. Essentially, the only conflict is inclement weather and they have to make the best of it, so like 2 out of 5. Barbie is basically just the big sister character in this that has to deal with all her sisters all having problems, so like 3 out of 5. The sidekick is a husky puppy named Rudy. He's kind of just like a dog that shows up and also is kind of supposed to be Rudolph in some capacity. 2 out of 5. The moral is being together is what makes a perfect Christmas. Fine, I'll take it 4 out of 5. Overall, Barbie A Perfect Christmas gets an 11 out of 20.
That makes 21 Barbie films that I have seen thus far, which means I am now halfway through every Barbie movie in existence. So let's keep going and watch Mermaid Tale 2. Here we go.
We're back in Mermaid Town, and Barbie Mermaid Malia is mermaiding again. Can you believe it? And guess what? Evil Aunt's back, and she's fucking stuff up. I don't even know what to tell you. I've seen so many of these royalty usurping stories where the main villain returns. I'm losing my mind. There's magic, there's evil creepy fish, there's even an evil henchman fish with a mustache. And honestly, he looked pretty good. Yeah, okay, I'll admit it. I'd fuck the fish. Who said that? Not me. She gets everything she wants in the end. She gets to be mermaid and human whenever she wants. I don't know. 4 out of 5. Barbie gets a 3 out of 5. I don't know why. Sidekick, fuck him. 1 out of 5. The moral? It feels so good to be something bigger than yourself. In my opinion, this is potentially promoting cults. Don't like this language. 1 out of 5. Overall, Mermaid Tale 2 gets a 9 out of 20. I couldn't even tell you why. Now, as we know, in this second era of Barbie movies, Barbie's going through kind of like a transitional phase. She's going through puberty. We're moving away from rehashes of traditional folklore tales with just Barbie inserted into them, beginning to make up new stories for Barbie, and putting more of an emphasis on what Mattel thinks that young girls are into in the 2010s, which is fashion and music. AKA classic ballet, fuck off. It's time for Uncle Sam to show you a little thing we like to call capitalism. That's why we're the best country in the world. This confliction of concepts, princesses and fairy tales, and fashionistas and music, quite literally combines in the movie that we're going to be talking about from this era, Barbie, the Princess and the Pop Star. They're doing a rehash of a rehash. They're making meat cubes with this shit. That's hash squared, baby. Now, before even watching this movie, I thought to myself, well, this is going to be interesting because the whole premise of the Princess and the Pauper story is a princess and a woman living in pretty much abject poverty switch places, and they learn something valuable about each other's place in the world. What exactly does a princess or a pop star have to learn about each other's lifestyles that's like ultimately valuable in the end? They're both rich. That's like a banker switching lives with a Wall Street investor. There's money in both sides. But I says to myself, whatever. Surely they'll have something valuable to offer each other in life lessons. So let's get into it. The movie opens up immediately with a massive concert that's being held in the stadium. People are freaking out. Everyone's excited. They're shitting their pants. Ew, don't do that. Ew, gross. Stop shitting in the concert, dude. What the fuck? Out comes Kiara, the pop star, and she's doing a big old musical number. She is killing it up there. I mean, look at her go. At the same time, from her balcony in her castle, Princess Tori is watching Kiara's concert. She wants to go down and see the concert, but she gets chewed out by her aunt because she's supposed to be doing her princess duties, and this leads into Tori and her sisters sort of just not doing that and knocking people over and running around the castle while a version of Girls Just Want to Have Fun plays, but instead it's Princesses Just Want to Have Fun.
But princesses wanna have fun.
Yeah, sure. Princesses want to have it. So does everyone else. In fact, they're probably the most disposed to be able to have fun. They're rich. They live in a castle made of marble. You'd be lucky to see that on a normal person's kitchen island. And their house is made of it. Kira finishes her song while this is happening, and she gives a little speech to the audience.
Hey, Mirabella! I am pumped to be here performing at your kingdom's 500th anniversary.
Damn, dude. 500 years? That is a really long time for a kingdom to exist. That is very impressive. Although, there is something incredibly strange about a pop star performing at the 500th year anniversary of a monarchy. What's that about? These people watching in the audience probably have iPhones and the internet, but they're living in a monarch. Does feudalism still exist in this world too? Like, are these people watching serfs? Yeah, so the scroll's saying that we gotta give 80% of our food to the kingdom in the form of tax, but it's actually okay because Kira's performing tonight, guys! Yes! Yes! So I'm immediately trying to figure out, is this an absolute monarchy, like a governmental monarchy? Because there's a very small amount of those left in the world today. And one of the few that comes to mind is Saudi Arabia. But let's not dwell on it. So after Kira finishes her show, she's approached by her manager, Kreider, who kind of dresses like he was pulled out of a dusty suburban kids dress-up bin. And Kira does not speak to Kreider very respectfully.
Did you forget where you're going, or is there something else?
Whoa, dude, chill out. Either way, Kira's situation is that she hasn't written any new songs for her label. Her reason being that she's feeling uninspired and she's too stressed out by all the things involved with her stardom. Like the concerts and the lights and the deals and everything that comes with fame. She just wants to be able to chill sometimes. She wants to be able to light up the sativa. Maybe do cocaine. That wouldn't be chill. Maybe do meth. No.
Princess Victoria. Now there's a sweet gig. She's probably never worked a day in her life.
Also, why is there a photo of the royal family in the dressing room? That's a mobile dressing room. They had to specifically put it in there. Or Kira just takes it with her wherever she goes? Is she a royalist? At the same time this is happening, Tori's getting chewed out by her freaking aunt because she needs to prepare a commemoration speech for the 500th year anniversary of the kingdom, and she basically just doesn't want to do it. She's procrastinating super fucking hard. I can relate to that. This video took me so long to make. And Tori's like known for doing pranks on people, and her aunt is kind of sick of it.
This has your mark all over it. I was willing to overlook the exploding cupcakes at tea and the skunk at the embassy ball.
Honestly, I kind of get why her aunt is frustrated with her. Making cupcakes that explode at social events? What is she doing, terrorism at her own galas? That's weird. She's got some serious behavioral issues. But Kira and Tori begin to sing a song about how they wish that they had the other person's life.
I wish I had her life, then I would be so free. I wish I had her life, I would be so free.
This song is a ridiculous perspective for both of the characters to have of each other. I'm Tori. I'm not a nice princess. My aunt fucking hates me. I make cupcakes explode at social events. But really, I just want to be a pop star. What I love about this song is that most of the audience that'd be watching this movie could not relate to either of their perspective. This song is like the Nepo baby anthem. This is so much worse than the original things that the characters from The Princess and the Pauper wanted. That was just a princess wanting a more normal life, and a woman that didn't want to be like abused and live in abject poverty. In this movie, these are two girls wanting a different type of affluence than they already have. They're like, I want to be a different type of rich. Okay. Kira's manager is then seen speaking to her record label, where they're saying that she needs to have a new song by next Saturday, or they're going to completely drop her from the label. Kind of feels like a bit of an overreaction, but clearly that must mean things are pretty bad for Kira. Has she been doing the same songs for like 10 years? Now at this point it becomes pretty clear that Kreider is the antagonist of this movie. His whole thesis is that he doesn't like working as a manager for Kira and instead wants to become a star because he feels like he missed out on that in his youth, and that he needs a lot of money to fund his restart of a career as a performer. This is also kind of a ridiculous position to have. Kira is clearly a really successful pop star, and managers usually take 10 to 20% of their clients' gross income as a fee. So Kreider could potentially be making millions of dollars.
If only somehow I had the means to restart my career. All I need is one lucky break. Or a rich widow.
No, dude, you do not need a rich widow. You're already rich. If the Princess of the Kingdom's a stan of your client, you gotta be raking in bills, son. That's a sold out 20,000 seat stadium right there. They're all watching her. Not to mention touring and merch. You don't need to manipulate a rich widow, Kreider. So Kreider begins to manipulate Tori's widowed aunt at a party. While this is happening, we hear this conversation going on.
And this drought has been hard on the entire region. Our reservoirs are only 30% of normal, and our vineyards are withering.
We got some info here on the monarchy thing. So a couple of royally dressed heads of state are talking about how there's a drought going on in the region. So we can assume there's multiple monarchies. And they're talking like this drought has a direct impact on their job. Possible absolute monarchy going on here right now. Also pretty fucked up that they're having these fancy parties while the kingdom's suffering from a drought. That's not a good look. I'm starting to feel a little French right now, if you know what I mean. Like, bonjour, bourgeoisie. Kiera and Tori meet at this ball as well, and Tori decides to show Kiera her room.
There's more me in here than in my house. Your guitar, your albums, most of your fashion line. I wore this in my first music video. It's still my very favorite.
A little creepy, but that's okay. This is where we find out Kiera and Tori both have a magical item. For seemingly no reason other than they just have them. Kiera has a magical microphone that allows her to change outfits, and Tori has a magical hairbrush that allows her to change hair. In showing off their magical items to each other, they realize that they look pretty similar to each other. And just like in the earlier story, Tori gets the idea to pretend to be each other for a little bit to experience what it's like. Princess that's being shut away from the real world brings you to her room covered in posters of you and then turns to you and goes, "I'm your biggest fan of all time, Kiera. Let's switch lives." I'd be thinking to myself, this is where I will die and no one will know. Tori shows Kiera around the castle and decides to show Kiera her kingdom's biggest secret of all time, which is a secret room that contains a garden with a diamond bush in it that's taken care of by fairies. Apparently this diamond plant's been growing for like 500 years and the general population doesn't know about it.
It blooms just once every 5 years. Its diamonds help pay for schools and, you know, stuff.
Huh? Stuff? What sort of stuff, Tori? Kinda feels like she mentioned schools for the optics there. So the aunt catches Tori while she's perusing the castle at the same time with Kreider, and she's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Showing our family secrets to someone you just met?" And this is when Kreider catches a look at the diamond plan, and he's like, "Money! Give me that money." And the next day, Kiera and Tori decide to enact their plan of switching lives and spending the whole day as each other. Of course, this requires a rehash of a song from The Princess and the Pauper where Tori is teaching Kiera how to be a princess. So there's a whole montage with each of the girls operating in each other's places. Tori's learning choreography for Kiera's concert. I'm not sure what Kiera is going to do when she comes back from pretending to be Tori and she just doesn't know the choreography she learned that same day. Like, what is she gonna say? "Sorry guys, I forgot." What do you mean? You learned it today. And Kiera's off flirting with a prince and they're having ice cream dates. And then kind of out of nowhere, we get some information on how this kingdom is actually doing when Tori decides to go on a walk dressed as Kiera. She ends up in this area where the roads are not even paved, and these little girls inform her that they want to go to Kiera's concert, but they can't afford to because of the drought in the kingdom and their parents not being able to afford anything. Tori is completely unaware that the drought is even still going on.
Drought? Is that still going on?
Oh yeah, it wiped out all the vineyards this year.
What? That's still happening? That fucking sucks, man. Apparently everyone in this kingdom is struggling to get by while the royal family has a diamond plant that nobody knows about. I can feel myself getting Frencher. Maybe the French had the right idea. Maybe these royal necks are getting a little bit too thick. Maybe we should shave some of that off, Tori. However, after Kiera and Tori FaceTime, Kiera decides to just make the concert free that night, so everything's okay. At this point, Kreider's going completely rogue because of this diamond plant. He's ditched the widowed Aunt idea, and he's totally blown up his relationship with Kiera's label before he's actually even acquired the diamond plant. And his idea is that he's gonna go steal it from the castle while Kiera's concert's happening that night because I guess a lot of the royal family and I guess the guards are gonna be there. While hanging out with Tori's sisters, Kiera gets a random boost of inspiration, seemingly from her experience just hanging out as a princess. I guess she realizes she doesn't need to live in a fancy castle to be happy and they're riding beds through the sky and stuff. But Tori did not write her commencement speech, unsurprisingly, before she met Kiera. So her aunt shows up and she's fucking pissed and locks Kiera in a room so Kiera can't get to the concert and switch back with Tori and cannot get a hold of Tori because she kind of just left her phone somewhere. They don't even really explain a reason why she left her phone somewhere. She's just like, I lost it.
Where is she, Riff? Something's wrong. And where's my phone?
So basically, Tori's screwed because the concert's starting and Kiera is expected on stage, and it gets to the point where she just straight up has to perform. She's a little bit nervous at first, but then she gains some confidence through the power of playing on an acoustic guitar, and all of a sudden, she's off to the races, and she's doing pretty good. Same time this is happening, Kreider and his henchmen manage to get into the secret room. They gas the shit out of the fairies with hairspray, it's actually kind of fucked up, and cut the diamond plant off its roots, and immediately, all of the plant life in Mirabella starts to die. Tori realizes what's going on, and she has to ditch the concert to run to the castle.
Now, a brief intermission! Sing amongst yourselves!
What the fuck? Don't throw a metal microphone into the audience, Tori. Yeah. Holy shit, he's dead. So Tori rushes to the castle, Kiera finds a secret passageway out of Tori's room, and they both confront Kreider as he's trying to escape the castle. They begin to fight it out, and when Kreider realizes he's not going to get away easily, he jumps off a cliff and has a wingsuit out of nowhere. But then Kiera changes his outfit, and he basically gets defeated because now he's floating like Princess Peach in Smash Bros. And the diamond plane falls off the cliff, and they're like, no, the plane's dead. Kingdom's doomed, no. But then they planted some diamonds they had left over, and the plant grows back to full size. Wasn't that thing growing for 500 years? Why did it grow back in like 5 seconds? So now the evil is defeated, and the girls rush back to the concert. And they both get up on stage, and they're singing together, and it's a happy ending on the concert side of things. On the societal side of things, because of Tori's experience in like the slums of Mirabella, she decides to enact some changes.
And besides updating Mirabella's irrigation systems against future droughts, we are also establishing a social services program for our kingdom's needy.
So you didn't have that before? You didn't have any of that? No social services? I guess I'm not that surprised. I mean, the roads in practically downtown Mirabella are not paved. Children are living in poverty while they have a diamond plant. And what's great about this moment is it actually confirms that Mirabella is an absolute government monarchy, because the princess is announcing these changes, which means it's coming from the royal family. Overall, this movie is like Taylor Swift doing the Eras Tour in Saudi Arabia. So here are my ratings. I would say Barbie and her counterpart are pretty hard to relate to in this movie. They're basically just privileged people who want to be a different kind of rich, and they make really weird choices like forgetting her phone when she's disguised as another person. Other than that, they're not too bad, so 3 out of 5. The story was weird because it almost followed the original Princess and the Pauper storyline with the rich widow angle similar to Preminger. But then it goes off the rails and he starts trying to steal a diamond plant. It's pretty middle of the road, especially because it's based off a previously good Barbie movie, so 2 out of 5. I could not for the life of me tell you what the moral of the story of this movie is, other than just like taking on your responsibilities and not complaining about wanting to be a different type of rich. The quote wasn't even any sort of statement from Barbie either. It's just, there's a star that's inside you, so come on and let it out. Find out what you're about and just shout, here I am. Which is definitely a song lyric, so 0 out of 5. Both Kiera and Tori had dogs. Kiera had a Mohawk bulldog and Tori had a crusty little white dog. But they didn't really offer much to the story other than just kind of being there, so 3 out of 5. So overall, this movie gets an 8 out of 20 little Barbie points. Now let's keep going.
All right, next up is Barbie in a pink shoes. Let's do this freaking thing. Let's go.
This Barbie movie is sort of a send-off of sorts to the era of Barbie movies based on fairy tales and folklore, and in doing so ends up being the weirdest combination of all of them. We start off with a ballerina named Kristen. Her teacher hates her, and she gets some magical shoes that transport her to a ballerina dimension. Everybody's dancing in ballerina town, and then this ice lady shows up, and she's really creepy and is forcing people to dance like an asshole. And there's references to a bunch of different fairy tales, some of which Barbie has already covered. It's really weird, but she comes back to the real world and does like a good dance, and she wins. I guess she wins the dance. Like a 3 out of 5. Barbie's kind of basic in this one too, so 3 out of 5. There's not really a sidekick in this one, so 0 out of 5. And the moral is, listen to the beat of your heart and keep on dancing. I think this works with the story of being yourself in this, so 4 out of 5. Overall, Pink Shoes gets a 10 out of 20.
Well, Mariposa and the Fairy Princess. Okay, here we go.
Okay, we're back in the Fairytopia universe for, I think, the 5th time. Maripoopoo is back. And this time, she's employing herself in diplomacy and fixing racism, because she's got to go as a diplomat of the Butterfly Fairies to the Crystal Fairies' homeland, because these guys have been feuding with each other for like 100 years. Overall, though, I think this story was a cool expansion, again, on the Fairytopia world. I think I enjoyed watching it, so 4 out of 5. Barbie's character in this is great. I actually like Mariposa. She's just trying to get everyone to get along. I'd give her a 4 out of 5. We're running into problems here with the sidekicks again, though, let me tell you. You know why? Because we're introduced to possibly an even worse Bibble, because this Bibble is named Z, and he's a fucking ball with a tooth. Mayor Peepaw didn't even have a puffball in the last movie. He just shows up, meaning the writers retconned a puffball into the story because apparently they thought it would elevate it. These puffballs are like the minions of the Barbie universe. What demographic of the general population is so obsessed with these little cherubs that don't speak English that they keep getting added to these stories? I will never know. 0 out of 5. And the moral is, the best way to make a friend is to be a friend. Duh. You think that people are making friends going around being an enemy? Weird moral, brother. Weird. 2 out of 5. Overall, Mariposa 2 gets a 10 out of 20.
Something deep inside my soul is stirring, and I don't know what's happening.
Next up, Barbie and her sisters in Ponytown. Here we go.
Barbie and her sisters are back in the canon universe, and this movie's about horses and ponies. They're in the Swiss Alps for the summer because their Aunt Marlene owns a riding academy. So you got 3 sisters learning to ride horses and eventually compete in a tournament for money because another Aunt of Barbie has a failing business that she is tasked with saving. This movie, though, is mostly about Barbie and her discovery of a super rare horse that's so majestic that Barbie named it Majesty after it saved her by being killed by vicious wolves. Jesus Christ. Barbie almost had canon death in this moment. There's an evil French horse rider guy who's abusive to horses. Stacy's horse fucking hates her guts. And they even have something worse than a horse girl, horse boys.
Look, Alpine has a new trick rider. What do you call that move? The mud dive?
I'd probably give the story a 3 out of 5. Barbie in this movie was pretty solid. I think she had a good progression of her character in originally wanting to take this extremely rare horse from the Swiss Alps back to Malibu, but then chose to have it stay with its herd. I'd give her a 4 out of 5. I'd say the most prominent sidekick was the sexy horse, and this thing could fight wolves, which was pretty badass. But also got trapped under a boulder somehow, so 3 out of 5. And the moral is, if you love something, set it free. This matches the story, but it's also not super creative, so 3 out of 5. Overall, Barbie and Her Sisters in a Ponytail gets a 13 out of 20.
I'm sitting here and I'm about to watch Barbie and the Pearl Princess. I really am. I had all the intention in the world, and I've got the controller in my hand, and my finger is hovering over the buy movie thing, and I just can't. I can't. I've watched 10 Barbie movies today. I've got neighbors. They're probably looking in through the window saying, this is the ideal image in a sadist mind of a broken man. I feel like I'm studying for a test, but I don't know who is completely lost their way. I don't fully know what's even going on here. Who is this woman? Is she an actress? Or is she, as I just saw in the last movie, a horse-riding prodigy that can speak to fucking magical horses with sexy long flowing hair that can jump so high they can fly? And this is canon Barbie. Shit's not adding up here, Blondie. There's multiple films where they have to assemble a fucking super weapon in order to beat the main villain. Like a Barbie equivalent weapon of mass destruction. Oh, you want to kill that guy? Well, you gotta go on this journey and you gotta get 3 things. 1, a box of your greatest fears. 2, a teardrop from a mermaid, and 3, what you've been looking for inside in order to build this scepter of truth in order to defeat Boxclaw. Boxclaw. Yeah, Boxclaw. That's a Barbie movie name right there. Oh, Boxclaw. I'm so fucking done. Listen, I have watched 26 Barbie movies, one after the other. Just Barbie movie, Barbie movie, Barbie movie, Barbie movie. There's 15 more Barbie movies to go. One of them's only half an hour long, so I'm not too worried about that one. I'm going to bed right now. I will see you guys tomorrow for the 4th day in a row of watching every Barbie movie ever made. All right, we've got a lot to go over, so buckle up, kiddos. These up here are the movies that Barbie acts in. And these are the movies where I got a ridiculous amount of lore because Barbie plays herself in them. And things are getting weirder, let me tell ya. So let's set this up, give me a second. In Fashion Fairy Tale, we get a whole lot of information. Firstly, Barbie has an aunt that lives in Paris, France, named Aunt Millicent, and she is proficient in fashion design. On top of that, we get a direct verbal reference from Barbie to one of her earlier films where she talks about working on the Three Musketeers. And we know this, Barbie is an actress, that's well established. But this is even more significant because we've got Barbie making reference across eras to another Barbie film. Also, we get more confirmation that magic is real because fairies are canon in the Barbie universe. Also, Raquel changed her hair to brunette. I don't know why. In Fairy Secret, there's a whole lot of bullshit that becomes canon. The fairy dimension of Los Angeles. Huh? Fairies, the size of humans. Pegaponies. They're Pegasus, but we need to clarify that it is a pony version of Pegasus, apparently. In Barbie: A Perfect Christmas, we are introduced to Skipper, who is the 3rd oldest sister in Barbie's family, putting Barbie's immediate family unit now to a total of 4. But then, more shockingly, Chelsea shows up, as if she's always been there. This girl is supposed to be Kelly, but everyone's calling her Chelsea as if that's always been who she is. Am I smoking weed? What's going on there, Barbie, huh? What's going on there, Barbie? And I'm not saying I'm a huge fan of Kelly, don't get me wrong. I'm not like a Kelly super fan, but I'd at least like some transparency from Barbie if she killed her sister and replaced her with another girl called Chelsea. That seems like something that the people should know about. Of course, this wouldn't be a problem at all if Skipper didn't directly reference the fashion show that Barbie did for Aunt Millicent, of which in that movie, Barbie makes a direct verbal reference to the acting that she did in The Three Musketeers, which connects to the classic era of Barbie movies, The Last Time We Saw Kelly, leading me to believe with some degree of confidence that Kelly exists in the same continuity as Chelsea. Do you understand why that's a problem? Finally, in Barbie and Her Sisters in a Ponytail, we get another canon relative, Aunt Marlene, and she owns a horseback riding academy in the Swiss Alps. And it's mentioned in this movie that Barbie is one of the most accomplished horseback riders on the West Coast, so she's got that going for her too. And finally, it is the first movie to actually mention Barbie and her sister's last name, Roberts. And let me just say, I'm on to you, Barbie Roberts. Until tomorrow.
Welcome to day 4. Last night when I was sleeping, I had a dream. The full details of the dream, obviously I can't remember, but one thing I do know is that I had 3 animal friends and they could speak English. Today we are starting with the 27th Barbie movie. There's 4 more in the modern plot era. And then we'll be entering the era where Mattel ended the home video releases and then eventually just started releasing their Barbie movies on Netflix. I can't take this off. I've tried. I went to bed without a shirt on and I woke up with this on. So let's just jump right into day 4. Here we go. Next up is Barbie the Pearl Princess. Let's do it. Okay, there's more mermaids this time, but it's a whole different set of mermaids. It's different mermaids. Barbie's character is a mermaid named Lumina who can do pearl magic, which is like using pearls, and it's just magic. There's not too much to say about this movie. It's another scenario where she's actually a princess that was stolen at birth, and the villain wants his son to be on the throne, usurping the throne. We know how this works. Her adoptive mother is this old lady mermaid who's actually like a really accomplished assassin. She's the villain's go-to person for poison, so I think she's killed a lot of people. She might be a terrorist, but it all works out in the end. This one also, in terms of story, felt a little rushed with all of the beats. I'd give it a 3 out of 5. I think I enjoyed Barbie's character in this movie, so I'll give her a 4 out of 5. The sidekicks were pretty strong in this one. Barbie's sidekick is a seahorse named Cuda, but what I really liked is this incredibly nefarious villain sidekick named Murphy, who's a creepy eel. He kind of looks like a troll face, so 5 out of 5 for that creepy eel, dude. What is up with that guy? The moral is always leave things better than you found them. I don't totally know what this is referencing in the story, so 2 out of 5. Overall, this movie gets a 14 out of 20.
Barbie got some secret entrances this time because it's Barbie and the Secret Door.
Barbie's character is a princess again named Alexa. She doesn't like being a princess. She sings a whole song about how she wishes that she also had magic, which is like, come on, dude, do you want guns for eyes too? You're a princess. Just buy what you want. Also, they live in this castle, but there's also like Manhattan behind it. So I think this is another world where monarchy rules modern societies. Anyway, she finds a secret door, goes to like Dr. Seuss's dimension, where there's this evil little girl who's trying to take everyone's magic, so she's hunting down fairies and mermaids, and she's got these guys that like to sniff. Yes, they are called sniffers. She finds her courage, she wins, something about the power of friendship, I guess. But the world and universe was slightly unique, and there was good character design, so 4 out of 5. Can't say I'm the biggest fan of Barbie's character in this because of the fact that she's a princess singing a whole song bummed about the fact that she doesn't have magic, so 2 out of 5. Not too much of a clear sidekick in this one either. Maybe those sniffer guys, I'd maybe give them a 2 out of 5. And the moral is, you never know what you can do unless you try. I personally actually like this moral, and I believe in the sentiment behind it, so 4 out of 5. Overall, Secret Door gets a 12 out of 20.
Next up is Barbie and Princess Power. I have no idea what this is going to be.
This movie is where the writers for Barbie just started going off the rails a little bit. I did not think this would be a movie I would see from Barbie, but here we are. Barbie stars as a princess that dresses like she was plucked out of iCarly, and she's got these 2 little nerd friends that make gadgets for her. There's an evil advisor. He's trying to make a super serum. It goes down the drain. Like literally, it goes down the drain. Ends up on a butterfly. Butterfly gives her a kiss. She goes into an ego death level K-hole and wakes up, and now she's got superpowers. But now she's going around doing crime fighting, throwing police cars at people, doing petty theft, which is a bit extreme. There's also a strange amount of chain reactions that happen in this movie that is not really explained. And then her jealous friend also gets superpowers, so now they're like at odds. But then the advisor guy makes himself some more serum, and he's trying to just straight up kill everyone. He tries to kill a whole city with a volcano. But then he gets his butt kicked, and then Barbie's character makes a community garden. This story was kind of painful. 2 out of 5. I also just didn't like Barbie in this, so 2 out of 5. In terms of sidekicks, Barbie's got a dog, yeah. But there's this little frog the advisor has, and he's kind of like a nutcase. So 4 out of 5. And the moral is, the power to change the world has been inside you all along. Which is true, as long as you get a drug that gives you superpowers and also you're a princess. Give me a break, dog. 1 out of 5. Overall, Barbie and Princess Power gets a 9 out of 20. This was a bad Barbie movie.
Next up is Barbie and Rockin' Royals. And play.
What we have here with this movie is Barbie Camp Rock plus royalty also. Let me explain. Barbie's character is a princess. She's going to camp for royalty, I guess. But they mixed up the list and she's forced to go to Camp Pop against her will. I think based on the dates of when this came out, it's a mixture between Camp Rock and Pitch Perfect because you got the pop kids doing pop music and then the royals are doing a cappella. It's a really weird summer camp type story with a lot of music and culminates in a sing-off between the 2 camps with the real estate of the losing camp on the line, which is like, don't put this on the campers. Why are we doing this? There's a lot of similarities to the vibes from Princess and the Pop Star, and while it's ridiculous, it was interesting and there was character growth. I'll give this story a 4 out of 5. I think I'd give Barbie's character in this a 4 out of 5 as well. She was pretty resourceful and able to unite the 2 camps together with help from Erico, so pretty good. There isn't any sidekicks really in this one, so as we know, that gets a 0 out of 5. And the moral is, rock your own story. I don't know what the fuck this is even supposed to mean. 1 out of 5. Overall, Barbie Rockin' Royals gets a 9 out of 20.
Next up is Barbie and her sisters, The Great Puppy Adventure. Play.
This movie is a huge lore drop for Barbie lore, but at its core, core, it's basically a watered-down Scooby-Doo story. Barbie and her three sisters travel to her hometown of Willows, Wisconsin to stay with their grandmother during the summer. The grandmother's dog just had 4 puppies, so all the girls get their own dog. And they find an old treasure map in the attic that leads them on a hunt for treasure that was buried by the town's founders. They're running all over town, doing riddles and puzzles with the puppies, and are also being pursued by this pair of evil carnival guys that also want the treasure. And they end up finding the treasure, and they donate most of it to the city to help it prosper. It honestly was a little boring of a movie. I'd give this story maybe a 3 out of 5. This new era of Barbie is starting to piss me off a little bit, mostly because when they found the treasure, they got a finder's fee, which by my estimation could be at least 40 pounds of gold, which is worth over $1 million, and they buried it to give the town hope, but they just found like $500 million worth of treasure and gave it to the... Why do they need to make more hope? 1 out of 5 for Barbie. The sidekicks are the puppies named Honey, Rookie, DJ, and Taffy. I'd probably give them a 3 out of 5, and this movie had no moral at the end, like no little quote to go off of, but in the official description it says that the girls discover that the greatest treasure of all is the love and laughter they share as sisters, which is nice and all, but don't bury your finder's fee. Put it in a trust for your sisters, Barbie. 1 out of 5. Overall, this movie gets an 8 out of 20.
I'm interested in this. Barbie and Spy Squad is next. All right, here we go.
Things are getting worse with Barbie Spy Squad, let me tell you. Okay, so Barbie and her friends are doing gymnastics. They're trying to qualify for the championship. They do, and after Barbie's friend's aunt takes them to the Hollywood sign, which is revealed to be a secret spy base. Her friend's aunt is a spy, and secretly British, and she wants Barbie and her friends, a group of high school students who are good at gymnastics, to become international spies to catch this cat burglar that stole a gem. It leads them on this whole journey. There's a guy that works there that's actually the villain and betrays everyone. He's going for world domination. He ends up going to jail. But at the end of the day, I will never understand why this aunt thought it made sense to bring these untrained high school girls into a life of death, poison, assassination, and also death again. Like, why would you do that? 2 out of 5. Barbie's fine in this middle of the road. You know that means she gets a 3 out of 5. The most notable sidekick is this floating robot cat thing that works for the British aunt. I'd probably give this little rascal a 3 out of 5. And the moral at the end is, this is our story. What's yours? Kind of a rude quote. 1 out of 5. Overall, Barbie Spy Squad gets a 9 out of 20.
A little bit worried about this, but next up is Barbie Starlight Adventure. Here we go.
I don't even know what to say. Other than that, I am shocked. I have to figure out how this shit could possibly be canon because Barbie, you're making it tough. Basically, this is a story about Barbie on a mission to stop the heat death of the universe. That's right. This movie opens with narration explaining that the stars are going out and there is only one person destined to save the universe. And apparently, that's Barbie. It starts off on what I think might be another planet. She's called to service by some galactic king. They have to find this alien creature that will let them travel through a magnetic storm to the center of the universe. Also, she can use the Force. And also, she has a dad. And at the end of the story, she manages to reverse the heat death of the universe by dancing. Has a magical girl transformation into a new dress. And she's made princess by the king in the end. This movie was insane. It creates a lot of problems for me too, but I was invested, so 4 out of 5. Barbie made a weird choice in this movie where she assumed the king was going to need that alien for his zoo and let it free, which sort of messed up the plans to save the universe for a second, so I'll give her a 2 out of 5. The sidekick was this alien creature named Popcorn, who later on turned into a cat. This thing kind of creeps me out, so 2 out of 5. And the moral at the end is, you can be anything. I don't know, I mean, I guess, yeah. 4 out of 5? Overall, Barbie Starlight Adventure gets a 12 out of 20, and I am stressed.
All right, next up is Barbie and her sisters in a puppy chase. Here we go.
Over the course of watching these movies, I have been confused, shocked, and even delighted by Barbie's character. But no movie has created more frustration for me than number 34, Barbie and her sisters in a puppy chase. It could be because I was losing my sanity after watching 15 years worth of Barbie films, but in watching this movie, I could actually feel myself getting angry at a fictional character, which is a troubling place to find oneself. So let's talk about it. The movie opens up with Barbie and her sisters flying into Hawaii for a dance tournament that Chelsea is competing in. They're also joined by the puppies that they adopted in this Netflix era of the BCU. When they land, Barbie's sisters all express things that they're excited to do on this trip to Hawaii. Skipper is excited to relax and just utilize the hotel Wi-Fi. Stacy is excited to do a bunch of activities like snorkeling. And most notably, Chelsea is focused on practicing so she can prepare for her dance competition tomorrow, which I emphasize is the reason they are in Hawaii in the first place. Barbie immediately brushes all of these things off and decides that it's a good idea to take her sisters on a quick road trip.
Now let's go see the surprise.
Like when?
Like right now. Who's ready for a quick road trip?
And Chelsea rightfully immediately calls this out.
I have to get to the hotel to start practicing. We're here for my dance competition, remember?
But Barbie kind of disregards this.
Chelsea, stop worrying. You'll be fine.
If they're traveling to Hawaii for a dance competition, I feel like that must mean that it's a pretty big deal. So why is Barbie like, no, you'll be fine. We're going on a road trip. And Barbie means that they're going on the road trip now. They're not even going to stop at the hotel. So they go and rent a car, and lo and behold, Barbie has not made a reservation for a rental car, and the best thing that they can get is a golf cart. There is no plan, at least not one that has been shared with any of her sisters in any capacity. And it doesn't seem like Barbie has figured out what the plan is either. The destination that they're headed to is called Banyan Tree Park, and while they're on the road there, they instantly run out of reception, and Barbie is driving questionably.
Here, let me see.
Just slow down around the turn, dude. She didn't even apologize. She just kept driving like it was normal. So without cell phone service, Barbie says that they can go old school and just use a map, but this map is almost instantly lost by one of the sisters.
Maybe we should just turn around and head back to the hotel.
Relax. It's a small island. It can't be that hard to find.
No, it's not. It's Hawaii. The biggest island there is twice the size of Delaware. You also don't live here. This is a new place to you, Barbie. Eventually, Barbie and her sisters show up at the park, and Barbie's big surprise is a dancing horse festival.
Are those dancing horses?
Surprise!
Cool! What a great surprise, Barbie!
I knew you guys would like it.
So you just ignore all of the plans and worries that your sisters have because you know best? Kind of feels like you did this for you, Barbie. Kind of feels like you wanted to go to the horse festival. Barbie also lets the puppies run around on their own unsupervised while they watch the show. And I don't care if they can talk. Don't do that. They're puppies, bro. They don't know where to pee yet. And you're sending them off into the jungle? And as they're watching the show, Barbie kind of gets on Chelsea's case about practicing for her dance routine.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Chelsea, you're missing everything.
I'm working on my routine.
You don't have to practice every minute.
Chelsea, shut the fuck up about your dance competition. I'm trying to watch the horsies. But my dance competition is tomorrow. Shut the fuck up. So at the same time that Barbie and her sisters are watching the horse show, the puppies predictably get sidetracked and end up inside of a horse trailer. And the girls watch the entirety of the show until the horse trainers are packed up and are actively leaving, with the puppies inside the trailer. And that's the moment that they realize they haven't checked on where they are.
There they are! Hey, wake up!
So they pile into the golf cart to chase after the horse trainers, and Barbie thinks to herself, what if I did something really risky that would save me maybe 5 seconds? And she tries to drive through an opening in the banyan tree.
We're not gonna make it!
Sure we will, I think.
Great! We're stuck!
What did Barbie think the time save of a risky maneuver like that would do for them? Did they need to catch up to the car that fast? Like, what were they gonna do? They're gonna ram into the side of the horse trailer? The puppies are inside. So now the golf cart is stuck in this tree, and they're just giving up on this rental. They don't even try to push it out. It's a lost cause, apparently. And according to Barbie, it's already getting late, so the best thing for them to do is to stay in place and hike back to the hotel in the morning.
You know, it's not every day you can camp under the island's stars.
What a strange spin to put on this. That's not the problem, Barbie. I'm sure that she's trying to look on the brighter side of things, but she says this with an energy as if her saying it makes everything better. That's just ignoring the actual problem so her sisters stop complaining. That's like getting in a car crash and then having to trade insurance with the person you hit and being like, well, it's not every day you get to make a new friend. Luckily for the Roberts, the rental car agency happened to leave them blankets and water, and Stacy was also carrying about 8,000 calories worth of protein bars, so they'll probably survive. And to keep morale up, Barbie has her sisters play a game where they imagine if they weren't in this situation.
We'd say, what if? Then imagine something super amazing. This is a great time for the imagination game.
This feels a little bit manipulative at this point. Guys, listen, I know this situation sucks, and it's kind of totally my fault, but what if we had a giant pink van with a water slide? Whoa! No way! That's... Yeah, so we're sleeping in the dirt tonight for real, though. So they sleep in the jungle, and then things get even worse because it actually begins to rain, so they all have to sleep in the golf cart in the tree the whole night, and when they wake up, they only have 12 hours until Chelsea's competition. But first, they have to go get the puppies at the beach that apparently the horse trainers went to. So Barbie's like, okay, let's go to the main road and call for help. But unfortunately for them,
we should be able to call for help from the main road.
Road's washed out.
Washed out? What are you talking about? The road is destroyed. Washed out is an understatement. That is gone from the earth. I don't even know what could have done this. Did a rock slide come through? And instead of trying to find their way around to the other side so they can keep going, Barbie decides to enter the woods.
There has to be another way out. There!
We're going to hike that?
Why not?
So now Barbie and her sisters are climbing up a mountain, which she continues to downplay.
We just have to get over the top. Piece of cake.
They're now climbing up rock walls, where she makes all of her sisters go first instead of making sure it's safe herself. Also, why is this a better and safer option than just trying to navigate the washed out road? That remains a mystery to me. And then they eventually get to a cliff.
How are we going to get over there? Well, I don't see an elevator or anything. Maybe we can find another vine or something.
Down that cliff?
Yep.
And we're having fun too, aren't we? She keeps choosing actively worse scenarios when there were previously viable options. It's starting to feel like she's trying to make things work. They eventually discover an abandoned zipline, and Barbie barely tries to prevent her sister from just going for it and risking her life over this canyon.
Shouldn't we do some kind of safety check first?
Yup, and I'm on it.
I like to imagine a world where Stacy just fucking dies in this scenario. Like she just plummets down the canyon. They eventually reach this village where they manage to rent a big camper van, even after admitting that they ditched their last rental. But this is great. Barbie and her sisters can finally go get the puppies. And Chelsea can go do her competition, thank God. Wrong. They got lost for what appears to be hours, just driving around unable to find their way to strangely happy music, passing the rental agent multiple times, and Barbie just doesn't ask for directions. This goes on to the point where they just run out of gas.
How can we be out of gas? Didn't you check?
Hey, the camper got us this far.
Complete deflection of the problem. She didn't even answer the question. Hey man, camper had a mind of its own. You know, we should be grateful the camper got us this far. It's actually only the second vehicle that we've used on this 2-day trip. Despite this, they actually found the horse trainers. So what do? They ditch the rental in the middle of the road. Look at them walk away. They don't even care. Now, the whole time this is all going on, the B story is just the antics of the puppies and the horses and this one show dog poodle. Nothing really important happens with them, but when the girls show up at the beach, the puppies are off like playing on a beach somewhere, so they don't know where they are. And this is when Chelsea just lays into Barbie. And she's right the whole time.
We'll get you there.
You keep saying that.
Yup.
Under a tree?
Uh-huh.
On a zip line?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
In a camper without gas?
Uh-huh.
No matter what happens, you keep saying everything's going to be fine.
Tell him.
But it is going to be fine.
Boo! Fuck you! Boo!
But what if it isn't?
But Master Manipulator Barbie decides to play a game with Chelsea where they make up scenarios that would be worse.
What if a giant submarine comes out of the water right now and the captain tells you have to live underwater from now on?
Listen, Chelsea. Hey, man, I know this situation sucks. But, you know, you could always get kidnapped, and that would be worse than this. So you should feel good. No need to think, man. It's just a little bit of Barbie magic, a little bit of Barbie perspective, you know? So the girls find the puppies who have just learned to surf, and the horse trainers decide to do them a huge solid and drive them to Chelsea's dance competition. This is great. Chelsea can make it to her dance competition. It's all gonna work out, baby. Wrong. Again. Dead wrong, actually.
The bridge is washed out.
Washed out? Stop saying that. What are you talking about? That is a solid stone bridge that has been annihilated. That is not a wooden rickety bridge. That is a government contracted piece of infrastructure that has been disintegrated by the weather. Dissolved by water and wind and God himself. Hawaii should be in a state of emergency right now. Where's the National Guard? And Barbie and her sister should be dead. They slept under a tree in a Category 6 hurricane. But guess what? It's all good. The horse trainers are nicer than Jesus because they let Barbie and her sisters take their horses, and they trust these untrained riders, one of which is 7 years old, by the way, to scale over the gap of this destroyed bridge, gotta be like 20-foot gap, with death below it. Even as the ground shows itself to be unstable, they are unfazed. And they met Barbie and her sisters yesterday. Either way, Barbie and her sisters riding horseback to make it to the competition. It's already started. Chelsea hasn't checked in. They get lost again. And this is where, finally, Barbie shows maybe a modicum of remorse by feeling sorry for herself and guilt-tripping her sisters until they try to make her feel better.
Just because you mess up doesn't mean you fail.
Yeah, Barbie. Yeah, no, we had fun hiking through the wilderness because you couldn't admit that you didn't know what the fuck you were doing. Now, the competition is happening already, and a girl named Lindsay is doing her routine, and is killing it, by the way. She's tap dancing while doing a handstand, and after she's finished, they give the last call for Chelsea to perform. They are quite literally about to hand this poor girl the trophy. And then the girls finally show up and beg to let Chelsea perform, and they're somehow willing to make an exception. And so Chelsea goes on stage to perform, and let's just say Chelsea does not do a good job. She's tripping over herself. She's very unsure of herself. It's almost as if her claims of needing to practice were well-founded. Isn't that interesting, Barbie. But then the baby horse comes up and starts dancing, and they change the music completely. And Chelsea is doing a new dance, seemingly by improv. And then Barbie chases one of the animals up there, and oh, okay, well, no, Barbie's joining in on the dance. No, that's cool, Barbie. Yeah, no, you join in on the dance too. Let's make Chelsea's moment about you. This is a dance competition. This has to be a disqualifying thing, is it not? Oh, no, Puppies and the rest of the sisters are on stage too. Cool. Why don't we all just start dancing? Let's just ignore the whole competition. Nothing matters at this point. The infrastructure on this island is probably burning to the ground right now. The horses are up there, puppies are dancing, and all four sisters. And when they're done, against her own best interest, Lindsay lets Chelsea win the whole fucking tournament.
Awesome, Chelsea. You totally deserve to win.
Like, this girl worked so hard for this and just gave it away to the insane people with dancing horses that were late. If I was Lindsay's parent, I would be like, Lindsay, what the fuck are you doing? Don't give it to them. And after all that, it ends with a celebratory dance scene. The end. If I had to give this movie a rating, it would be as follows. On Barbie, she's a completely irresponsible chaperone in this movie. She continuously makes choices that are against her own interest and chooses to ignore her sister's worries for her safety and comfort and her ability to have a solution, resulting in her and her sisters being stranded on an island with no cell service or shelter for 24 hours. I came to realize by the end of watching this film that Barbie was not the protagonist of this film, she was the antagonist. 0 out of 5. On story, this entire story was an inconvenience to watch. It was like traveling back and forth to the DMV and being told each time that you're missing an additional form that takes a week to process in their system. 0 out of 5. The moral was aimed at making the best out of a bad situation, but it came off more like ignore your problems until they're too big to ignore and you've ruined everything. 0 out of 5. The puppies are fine. They're ultimately useless, but also innocent victims in this entire story. 2 out of 5. Meaning that the total score for this Barbie movie is 2 out of 20. This is without a doubt the worst Barbie movie in the modern era of Barbie movies.
I watched 8 Barbie movies today. Barbie and a Puppy Chase was one of the most shocking Barbie movies that I've ever seen in my entire life. Barbie became the most unreasonable, psychotic individual that I've ever seen in my entire life, and it's canon. The most illuminating aspects of this is what little care she has for her sibling, as if they were just she could just make others. We are in the final stretch. There are 8 more Barbie movies for me to watch. I'm unraveling a web that is more shocking than anything I've seen in my adult life. I need to go sleep. I don't know how that keeps ending up there.
Things are getting out of control. I'm losing my mind. But I'm gonna make this work. Trust me. Here we go. Barbie's an actress in these movies. These are the canon ones, and they have the most confusing lore yet. In Barbie and her sisters and the Great Puppy Adventure, we get so much lore on Barbie's past. We got Barbie's hometown of Willows, Wisconsin. In this movie, we see like a home video of Barbie winning a science contest when she was like 10 or 11, meaning she's good at science. We meet Grandma Roberts for the first time, further expanding Barbie's extended family. And when looking at old photos in her attic, it seems like Grandma Roberts got up to some things in her youth as well.
Have you been, like, everywhere?
Your grandfather and I always loved a good adventure.
We also get a glimpse at Grandpa Roberts, who apparently passed away before the shooting of this film. A little bit convenient if you ask me, by the way. In Barbie Spy Squad, she's a gymnast. She's also a trained spy now. Also, we've got a new friend she's got named Renee, and also Teresa from Fashion Fairy Tale shows back up. So Starlight Adventure is where I ran into some problems, though, because, well, there's actually a few problems that I ran into because of this movie. Barbie's playing herself in this film. She's also in fucking space. And as I've mentioned, she can use the Force. She lives on a planet called Paradin, which bears very close similarity to the continents of Earth. I mean, this is a photo of what the planet, that looks like North and South America. But despite that, occurs in a world where spacefaring travel is common, and at a point where the stars are just going out. They're just going kaput. Also, there is this man who is allegedly her father in this film, and that's the first time that we've gotten a dad. This is the first time that we're seeing a parent of Barbie, and it's a space dad? Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, no, this is definitely Barbie's dad. Give me a break. I don't know what to do with this movie, but I got some serious theories brewing from it. And I don't think that you guys are prepared for what this is turning out to be, because I was. So with all that lore locked in, let's continue to the final stretch of Barbie. Today is day 5 of watching every Barbie movie ever made. The characters in these Barbie films are invading my dreams. I sort of feel like Vsauce in that one video where he puts himself in complete isolation for 72 hours, because very often I'm waking up in the morning and I'm confused. So with all that being said, let's just finish the job and watch the final 8 Barbie movies. God help us all.
What the fuck is happening? I don't even know anymore. Okay, Barbie's a video game developer now. She's making a new video game. She gets magically pulled into a video game and has to beat every level in order to fix a computer virus that has infected the game. The virus is just like made of emojis. It was really hard to watch. All the levels are different video game worlds. I mean, watching this felt like I was on a bad LSD trip while my body decomposes in a shady back alley. There's like a Minecraft portion. Barbie makes a nether portal. And what makes everything so much worse is the final challenge is to win a game of Just Dance. And not like a knockoff, it's the game Just Dance. Just Dance is canon in Barbie. She wins in the end, I don't know, for like 1 out of 5. Barbie, she gets like a 3 out of 5. The sidekick is a cloud who speaks in rhymes. I don't like him either, 2 out of 5. And they don't give a quote for the moral again, but I'm 90% sure the moral was to purchase Just Dance.
Do you know what's even more awesome? What? Just Dance. Want to have some fun?
So that gets a 0 out of 5. Overall, Video Game Hero gets a 6 out of 20.
I don't know what I just watched, but next up is Barbie Dolphin Magic. Here we go.
In this movie, Barbie and her sisters are visiting a tropical island where Ken is doing a marine biology internship. Basically, the whole story is you've got these rare dolphins that got captured. Barbie meets a mermaid that is friends with them and wants to save them. Also, unfortunately, making mermaids canon in Barbie. Ken's boss is evil and wants to sell the dolphins for money. She's a piece of shit. I don't know. They win in the end. It was like a 2 out of 5 story for me. Barbie gets a 4 out of 5 for her marine conservation efforts. Good on you, Barb. The sidekicks are the puppies again. I'm getting really sick of these puppies. 1 out of 5. And we keep getting the same quote for the moral at the end, so I'm just going to assume the moral is to not be a poacher, which is 5 out of 5. Overall, Dolphin Magic gets a 12 out of 20.
Next up is Barbie Princess Adventures. Let's adventure.
In this movie, Barbie's an influencer now. She's trying to take my job, which I do not appreciate. Also, Barbie's got parents now, and after 30 plus movies of me thinking they were straight up dead, this was a crazy revelation for me. Anyways, the story is about Barbie's school doing an exchange with a kingdom somewhere, and the princess there looks just like Barbie. And you guess what happens? They do a little switcheroo. Isn't that something else? Oh yeah, there's an evil guy going for the throne too. God, you shouldn't do that, man. It literally never works out. This movie is super basic. I feel like I've seen this 1,000 times already. But what I had never seen was a song sung by Ken's friend Trey on why he should be king of the kingdom. And needless to say, it melted my brain.
King of the kingdom, dumb, dumb, dumb. King of the kingdom, dumb, dumb, dumb.
What the fuck was that?
So story gets a 2 out of 5. Barbie does something really dumb where she's pretending to be the princess, but she gets caught because she's still wearing her necklace that says Barbie on it, so 3 out of 5 for that little mistake. Sidekick is the same dog as before, 0 out of 5. And the moral is life doesn't happen on camera. Life is what happens when the cameras are off, and I think this is a good moral for a 20s Barbie movie, so 4 out of 5. Overall, Barbie Princess Adventure gets a 9 out of 20.
We got Chelsea movies. It's Chelsea Lost Birthday. Here we go.
This movie's a rough one too, and it's so forgettable that it's silly that I'm even talking about it, but I have to. Basically, Barbie and the Roberts family go on a cruise, and they cross the international date line, so it skips Chelsea's birthday. So she goes on like a whole journey to save her birthday. She was like sliding down rainbows and talking to animals, and it really got me worried for the lore stuff, to be honest. But in the end, it was a dream, so that was a relief. They also did the flossing dance, which was a mistake, 1 out of 5. For Barbie, this movie wasn't even really about Barbie. It was a Chelsea-focused movie, but she was absolutely giving me vibes from the time they were in Hawaii, so 1 out of 5. For sidekicks, I suppose the sidekicks are the dream creatures that Chelsea conjured up, so I'd give them a 3 out of 5. And there is no moral to this story. You couldn't convince me there was if you tried. 0 out of 5. So Chelsea's Lost Birthday gets a 5 out of 20.
Next up is Barbie Big City, Big Dreams. Let's do this.
In this movie, Barbie moves to New York City for an art summer program because she wants to be a Broadway star now. And this movie is significant because we're actually introduced to a new character also named Barbie Brooklyn Roberts.
We have the same name?
They're adventuring around New York City. Brooklyn absolutely eats shit off a stage because Malibu Barbie knocked into her. There's some drama. I don't know. It was pretty okay. I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I'd say both Barbies are pretty good in this too. They managed to work out their drama in the end, and I'd give them both a 4 out of 5. No sidekicks in this. It's BS, I know, so 0 out of 5. And with no quote, I'd say this movie is about not totally being focused on winning, but rather improving alongside your peers and lifting up everyone around you. So 5 out of 5. Overall, Big City, Big Dreams gets a 13 out of 20. So I was trying to watch the rest of the Barbie movies and I fell asleep last night. I have 3 more Barbie movies to watch and then I finish. I've watched every Barbie movie ever made. I'm not done yet though. So here we go, folks. The final Barbie movies. I thought I was gonna be able to do it in 4, but day 6, here we are. We've got another mermaid story, baby, but this time it's a canon mermaid story. So it's Malibu Barbie, Brooklyn Barbie, and the sisters on an adventure with their old mermaid friend from that other movie where they compete to be some sort of power keeper. They all get to be mermaids. Everyone's a mermaid. Great. Also, that poacher lady from the other movie is back, and she's like twice as psycho as before, and she's trying to prove mermaids are real, and all the science community thinks that she's an idiot. I'd probably give this story a 3 out of 5. For Barbie, I'd give him a 2 out of 5. Don't question me. We're so close to the end here. For sidekicks, there are like fish they talk to. There's no real sidekicks. 1 out of 5. And the moral is something about learning to find your inner power. I think I'd give it like a 3 out of 5. So Mermaid Power gets a 9 out of 20.
The second to last Barbie movie, Barbie Epic Road Trip. Let's do it.
Barbie Epic Road Trip was probably the last thing I wanted to run into on my last day watching every Barbie. They couldn't just let me chill out, turn my brain off, and relax. No, they had to give me choice. Because this Netflix Barbie movie required me to make decisions. It's a choose-your-own-adventure Barbie movie.
It's making me choose. Okay, fine. Dreams, Ken.
It's basically about Malibu Barbie, Brooklyn Barbie, Ken, and the 3 sisters going on a road trip. They're delivering adopted dogs from Skipper's silly little dog app. There's a lot of convoluted lore. Apparently, at some point, Barbie and Ken went back to being friends, and now they've got, like, tension again. Also, I accidentally made the wrong choice at one point, and I got Barbie abducted by aliens and lost. I lost the movie. I failed the movie. They reset me at the beginning, so I had to restart. I guess it was cool. I don't want to tell the story for you, Barbie, though. Make your own decisions. 1 out of 5. Barbie literally cannot make her own decisions in this, so 2 out of 5 for that. The sidekicks are like a bunch of dogs that are about to get adopted. I don't know. This era kind of sucks for sidekicks, and it's been bumming me out, so 0 out of 5. Moral? Good question. I could not tell you. The viewer makes the decisions. Maybe the moral is not even fictional characters know what they're doing, and perhaps that's comforting. 3 out of 5. So the second to last movie, Epic Road Trip, gets a 6 out of 20.
The final Barbie movie, Skipper and the Big Babysitting Adventure. Let's do this thing.
Okay, it's the last Barbie movie, and it's not even about her. It's about Skipper, the gaming sister, and her inability to run a babysitting business. Something about a theme park. Something about a gaming bus. Skipper wins in the end. It doesn't matter. I don't even care. I don't even care because I've done it. I've watched them all. 4 out of 5 for all I care. And this story isn't even about Barbie because Barbie's off doing some liberal shit, planting trees in the Amazon like a nerd. Like that's literally what she's doing in this story. So 2 out of 5. For sidekicks, none. 0 out of 5. Fuck them. Who needs them? Moral? I don't know, okay? I don't know what they're trying to teach me. Maybe how to be a babysitter? Who knows? Leave me alone. 1 out of 5. Overall, the last animated Barbie movie gets a 7 out of 20, and I'm done. I'm done.
I've done it.
I've done it. All right. Here's the lore we learned from the final Barbie movie. In Barbie Video Game Hero, as I've mentioned, Just Dance is canon. I've got no idea why they would do this. Money? Maybe money. It really makes things kind of confusing for me too. Like this is all just a joke. Newsflash, it's not. Do you see how much work I put into this? It's not a joke. This is my Afghanistan, and I'm invading Barbieville. For oil! So anyways, Barbie also adds coding. She's a game developer to her list of proficiencies with this movie. In Barbie Dolphin Magic, guess what? Boom, look at that. Mermaids are canon in the BCU. Why not? I'd also like to highlight an interesting phrase that Chelsea says in this film.
I'm just really sick of hand-me-downs.
Barbie and her sisters live in a house in Malibu. They're able to do whatever they want, fly wherever they want, travel the world. So why in the world would hand-me-downs be even a notion that the Roberts are familiar with? Unless it was for a different reason. In Princess Adventure, we got so much additional lore that it stressed me out a bit, but here we go. Social media influencer gets added to Barbie's list of proficiency. Next up, this is a weird one for me. Barbie's mom and dad are introduced into the canon lore. And her dad, George Roberts, who unsurprisingly looks totally different than her dad in Starlight Adventure. I don't think this is her dad. We also get a slew of side characters that are added to Barbie's network of associates. I got no goddamn idea who these people are. But most notably, a princess that looks identical to Barbie. But unlike something like Princess and the Pauper, which is a fictional movie that occurs within the canon universe of the BCU, this is a real person within canon that looks identical to Barbie. In Barbie Big City Big Dreams, she adds performer to her list of proficiencies. And we're also introduced to Barbie Brooklyn Roberts for the first time. Barbie Epic Road Trip is kind of a confusing one, as I'm unsure if it satisfies the qualifications for a canon movie. The decisions made in the movie are done by the viewer because it's a choose-your-own-adventure Netflix special. And there's multiple different endings. And while Barbie is playing herself in this film, the decisions that she makes are not hers. So I think I'm gonna make a rare executive decision to determine that this movie, Barbie Epic Road Trip, is not canon. I ain't even putting this shit on the board. And finally, in Barbie Skipper and the Big Babysitting Adventure, Barbie's in the Amazon playing trees. She's not even present, really, in this movie. But she went there, and that's canon. So with all the lore here laid out and finally covered, I can finally develop my theory on the true lore of Barbie. Wish me luck. I had finished my task, watched every single Barbie movie. It felt like my mind was about to burst. Over 40 hours of Barbie films were rattling around in my brain and I still hadn't solved it. What was Barbie's secret? How was she so proficient at so many skills? Achieving so much, traveling so much of the world, and doing it all before she could legally drink a beer? It just didn't add up. It didn't make sense. An accomplished actress, director, horse rider, coder, philanthropist, performer, influencer, gymnast, trained spy, who's rich, famous, and completely morally sound? In a world of magic, fairies, space travel, and absolute monarchies? And what's worse is that it all comes back to Kelly. Where did she go? Is she alive? Is she dead? Did she ever exist at all? There were so many strings to the Roberts family wrapped around the globe. Kelly, then Chelsea, Stacy, Skipper, George, Margaret, Millicent, Marlene, even Grandma and Grandpa Roberts. None of their stories added up. Until they did. I've seen many theories online as to what Barbie might be in the lore of the BCU. I've seen talk that she's immortal, that she's a vampire, but none of these things quite click with me. Except for one, and you're gonna need to let me explain this. Barbie is a genetically modified clone that operates within a larger decentralized hive mind to achieve a goal across thousands, potentially millions of years. And I know what you think, please let me explain. In order for Barbie to be able to attain as much knowledge and skill as she does, she can't be operating as an individual creature. She needs to be operating as part of a larger, decentralized hive mind that can still be considered a single organism. Barbie. Barbie's immediate family unit of 4 sisters is a means to train and grow more Barbie. You're not seeing a group of 4 sisters, you're seeing the growth cycle of a series of Barbie clones being trained. That's why it's a decentralized hive mind, as each member maintains some level of autonomy while still operating within a system. You start with Chelsea or Kelly, learning the initial ideals of what it means to be a Barbie. Eventually upgrading to Stacy, where new skills such as sports and other activities can be learned. Then you move on to Skipper, where science and other technology is further emphasized. And eventually a clone will become a Barbie. Of course, you can't stop the process of aging, and while it appears each Barbie clone ages slower than the average human, eventually they have to move on to their next responsibility, which is to go to ground for several years and re-emerge as an aunt, one that is specifically proficient in certain tasks. Another option is becoming Barbie's mom. And then when those Barbie clones get older, they retire into the position of Grandma Roberts. This explains why in the earlier Barbie films, we see Stacy looking much older than she does in the later Barbie films. She's about to move on to the next stage of growth. In Fashion Fairy Tale, we meet Aunt Millicent. This older clone has settled down in Paris, France, and helps growing clones learn about fashion design. We meet another age Barbie clone, Aunt Marlene, in Barbie and Her Sisters in a Ponytail, who teaches the younger Roberts clones about horseback riding. This would later come into play in Puppy Chase, as their skills in horseback riding allowed them to achieve their goals. In Great Puppy Adventure, we meet Grandma Roberts, a very old Barbie clone, and we see evidence in her attic of her being a younger Barbie clone. Just to be expected from a retired Barbie clone. Barbie's behavior in Puppy Chase was terrible, as we know, but it could be explained if you recontextualize it as the leader of a group of trainees where she's placing them in situations where she's testing their skills and aptitude. It's almost as if she intentionally let the puppies go free, knowing that it would place the younger sisters in a boot camp type scenario where their survival skills would be tested for the sake of the cause. Even in Barbie Princess Adventure, we see 2 Barbie clones directly interacting with Barbie and Amelia. Even in Barbie Dolphin Magic, Chelsea complains about hand-me-down. But as we know, the Roberts are incredibly wealthy, travel the world all the time, and have a house in Malibu. What reason would they have for hand-me-downs unless there was an expectation for each sister within the family unit to dress within a certain wardrobe? And this brings me to Kelly's disappearance. What happened to her? Why was she replaced with Chelsea? Kelly was a failed Barbie clone and wasn't able to adhere to the strict guidelines of her training. In Nutcracker, Rapunzel, Swan Lake, and Christmas Carol, Kelly consistently had difficulty performing the activities she was doing with Barbie. And I think this frustrated Barbie, and eventually Kelly was removed from the cluster. I think that Kelly is dead. So where does Ken exist in all of this? I mean, he's been in a lot of the movies. Ken's probably another clone of some sort. Possibly a creature bred purely to be a thrall in the Barbie clone hive mind. This would explain why Kens don't have the same strict adherence to features as Barbie's. It would also explain the existence of Barbie's dad in Starlight Adventure, as I have an inkling that her dad is just an aged Ken that has been tasked with chaperoning her until she can achieve her larger goal. So what is the Barbie clone hive mind's purpose? I mean, why put up this front of pretending to be a single person? What's the deal with that noise? In order to achieve its goals, Barbie needs capital. And she does so by maintaining a picture-perfect movie persona in order to fund the wealth that can be then invested back into the hive mind. And in order to do that, they need to fly under the radar of the larger human population. You think that Barbie was being an idiot by donating those hundreds of millions of dollars worth of gold back to the town of Willows, Wisconsin? Really?
Of course she'd do that! The hive mind owns that fucking town! That was probably a stash the hive mind buried there years ago before it had a solid alibi for its wealth! The hive mind's purpose appears to be becoming proficient at skills and promoting its morals and lifestyle. As Barbie continues on its journey, it gains more and more knowledge and information, getting it closer to, you guessed it, enlightenment. That's what the morals serve as, a means to teach her clones more about achieving its view of perfection. And this is why the final Barbie movie, in the true continuity of its lore, is Barbie Starlight Adventure. This is a world where humanity has expanded into the stars. And yet Barbie has remained. And while this Barbie has very little knowledge about her previous clones or hive mind not knowing her mother, we can see the evidence of potentially thousands of years of knowledge the hive mind has collected. Because she can use the Force. And at the end of the movie, she travels to the center of the universe to complete the task the hive mind had set out long ago to complete, to reignite the universe in Barbie's own image, becoming a cosmic princess and ascending to godhood. Oh. Okay, so there you have it. You're welcome, by the way. The true lore of Barbie. So here we are, this many days after I finished watching every Barbie movie ever made. It is now time for the final boss. It was mentally exhausting, but I will now be walking into that theater with a complete and full understanding of Barbie lore. I'm not getting laughed out of the theater with this on, because people are gonna see me and they're gonna say, that guy knows what he's doing. That guy knows a thing or two about Barbie lore, and they'll be right. And I will be walking out of that theater to be the greatest expert on Barbie movies to ever walk the earth. So I'm gonna leave right now to watch my final Barbie movie, and I'll see if this was all worth it.
It wasn't worth it. It absolutely wasn't. None of my theories added up at all. In fact, it was barely related. How did I not see this coming? Decentralized clone hive mind. Why did I think they would make a movie about that? What's worse is I kept whispering, asking when the clones would show up. Oh, God. I'd done all this work. I'd done all this research. All that time, all those movies. What the fuck was I even thinking?